In the Valley of the Sun, it's not the heat of the moment, it's the fever to finish. Both coming off their best regular seasons in school history. Both entering their first and last BCS Bowl. Baylor has blown up scoreboards and torched yardage totals all season.
What a catch!
Most, best, fastest. UCF started the season as a collection of letters and ended it with a conference title. A revelation throwing the ball, a storm carrying it, a defense attacking it. Now they meet where sweat dries fast and pulses run faster. Viva la Fiesta. It ain't a party, it's a ball.
And we welcome you back to ESPN's college football presentation of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl from University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, just outside the city of Phoenix. Central Florida and Baylor, the Knights making their 6th bowl appearance. They're here in a bowl game for the 4th time in 5 years. Baylor playing in its 4th straight bowl game. They're trying to win a 3rd straight bowl game for the first time in school history, and they bring to Glendale the highest scoring offense in the country, 53 points per game plus. Teams making their way to midfield for the toss of the coin. We welcome you inside UOP Stadium. Sean McDonough and Chris Spielman, joined in a moment by Shannon Spake. And for those of you just joining us, you're going to get a look tonight at 2 of the very best quarterbacks in the country. The trigger man for that high-powered Baylor attack is Bryce Petty.
Well, let's start with Bryce Petty, and he has all the qualities you want in a quarterback. He's smart, he's tough, he makes good decisions, and he protects the football. 30 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. This Baylor offense makes you defend the whole field, horizontally and vertically. What they want to do on their short passes is get their athletes in space. Now the Knights will have to tackle well in space to have a chance tonight. Then they hit you with a vertical game. Either Antoine Goodley, number 5, is a deep threat, and they're getting back number 16, Tevin Reese, who's coming off of a wrist injury.
He's a junior as Petty, first-year starter, finished 7th in the Heisman Trophy voting this year. On the other side for Central Florida, it's a balanced attack led by Blake Bortles, and he is zooming up draft boards. He's a junior, may or may not come out for the NFL draft this year. That'll be decided after this game.
Well, he's outstanding. 6'5" kid, big, strong guy. What I like, Sean, is the coaches trust him to put him in the correct play against the defense that he surveys at the line of scrimmage. Also, he can use his legs to run, and this is what I like most. He surveys the field. He uses his eyes to move a defense. Then he has the confidence in his arm and the confidence in the receiver to be in the open area, and he's able to deliver strikes.
They give him a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage to get them in and out of plays. Down on the field with his coach, George O'Leary, here's Shannon Spake.
Thank you, Sean. Coach, you have coached against Art Briles in the past. What makes this particular offense so difficult?
Well, it's the width of the wide receivers and the tempo that they keep. They can run it, they can throw it, so you got to be a good all-around. You got to be able to tackle in space, and you got to get off the field. That's the big thing.
You guys tried to create this up-tempo in practice for this bowl game. What did you learn?
We create the tempo, not the quality that they play with. That's the key, and I think the speed of the game early we got to watch, but again, they just got to settle in and do what we're supposed to do.
Happy New Year. Have fun.
Same yourself.
Sean, the motto all season has been play with good effort and good things will happen. They've had a lot of close finishes with this UCF program.
A lot of similarities between these two teams, Shannon. Each coach was his conference coach of the year. George O'Leary in the American, Art Briles in the Big 12. Took over one of the worst programs in the country in a very short period of time. Art Briles has led them to their first BCS bowl game. And if you wondered about motivation level, clearly the Bears and Knights are ready to go.
It's amazing how excited those guys get that don't have the pads on. That's it. That's what you need, enthusiasm.
UCF won the toss and will receive. They don't want that Baylor offense to take the field to start the game. So Aaron Jones is going to kick off for Baylor. And the dangerous Rennell Hall is back deep for the University of Central Florida Knights. And the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl is underway. Short end over end kick to William Stanback, a freshman. Gang tackled at the 24, led by Clay Fuller. So here comes Blake Bortles. You saw it on the graphic a moment ago from Oviedo, Florida, right down the street from the UCF campus in Orlando. Not highly recruited. Most schools that were interested, and there weren't many, thought he might be a tight end. Had a terrific year, more than 3,000 yards passing, as we mentioned, ranked by Todd McShay behind only Teddy Bridgewater among possible quarterbacks in the draft. Teddy's already announced today he is coming out and foregoing his senior year at Louisville. Bortles will open in the gun, and movement before the snap for a false start. Tom Ritter is the referee.
False start. 55 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Joey Grant perhaps a little twitchy before he snapped the ball under the spotlight here of the BCS bowl game.
Yeah, you got a lot of nerves going on until you get that first hit, and things tend to settle down.
It is a team, according to George O'Leary, that needs to stay ahead of the chains. They need third down and short typically to be successful. Storm Johnson sliced through the middle, got to the 26, tackled by Sam Hall. Johnson and Stanback, two-headed running back attack. They were first team in the case of Johnson and second team in the case of Stanback, all conference in the American.
Yeah, keep an eye on them too, Sean. Both of them are excellent at running screens. Good vision and patience.
2nd and 8. Bortles can run. Both of these big men can run from the quarterback position. And Blake's all the way to the 45-yard line of Baylor. That's a 29-yard run, his longest of the year. The previous was 20.
Part of being a smart quarterback is to be patient. Right there, he did a good job of riding Storm Johnson, letting the defense commit. Then you see the type of athlete Blake Bortles is at 6'5", 230 pounds, showing the folks that he can run it and not only throw it.
Third leading rusher on the team, and bear in mind that sack losses come off the quarterback's rushing total. So that 208 really isn't an indication of his ability when they've wanted him to run. Movement along the line, and there is a whistle to stop it. Terrence Lloyd came across the line of scrimmage. The crowd's roaring, but it doesn't matter. Question is, was Lloyd drawn off?
Prior to the snap, offside, number 11 defense by contact. It's 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And the answer is no.
I like the call, an aggressive call. We've seen it all bowl season. Once a team crosses the 50, if it's a first down, they like to take the shot down the field. They were working Perriman against Dimitri Goodson. That's a matchup that they like on the Knights offense.
One problem for Baylor this year, the penalties. They've managed to overcome them, but 78 yards per game in penalties is most in the country. When you score 53 points a game, you can cover up a lot of those mistakes. Storm Johnson taken down again by Sam Hall. Johnson's a junior from the Atlanta area. Started his career at the University of Miami. Didn't play much as a freshman. Transferred to UCF. Wound up as the leading rusher this year in the American. Charlie Taft, the offensive coordinator, said that's a good lesson. Leave recruits on good terms, because you never know if they might come back around again.
And Storm came back to him.
Left Miami when Randy Shannon was let go as the coach. Bortles keeps it again. Has the first down. Tripped up by Eddie Lackey. First team all Big 12 linebacker for Baylor and the leading tackler on their team.
Well, Eddie Lackey does a good job of not jumping on Storm Johnson. You're going to read right here the outside linebacker that Blake Bortles is taking a look at. Once he jumps inside on Storm Johnson, that's an automatic pull. And I'm impressed with the speed of Blake Bortles to get to that edge.
Four wide receivers spread the field on 1st and 10. Good start for Central Florida, the underdogs. Storm Johnson storming into the red zone and down at the 11. Another tackle by Sam Hall, the senior from Katy, Texas, a run of 23.
It's a 23-yard run, and it's an assist to the offensive line of knocking Baylor off the line of scrimmage, and receivers sustaining blocks down the field. And Storm Johnson runs with power, gets to the sidelines, and fights and claws for every yard he can get. One thing Baylor does on defense, Sean, they play off the ball a little bit and they run slants, and they're not getting off blocks. They need to start getting a little bit of penetration, where that big offensive line will take over this football game for the Knights.
Johnson, touchdown! What a start for Central Florida. Sean Moffitt on for the extra point. And George O'Leary couldn't have envisioned a better start. Elected to take the ball. And on the legs of Johnson and the quarterback Blake Bortles, they go 76 yards in just 6 plays. Johnson, an 11-yard touchdown run. He carried 4 times for 44 yards on the drive. Let's take a look at tonight's Taco Bell touchdown spotlight.
Sean, Central Florida has a tendency to run to number 85, the H-back Kevin Miller. Now Lackey and Trahan, the linebackers, get caught inside, which leaves an outside lane open. See, both of them jump inside. Lackey takes a shot, he misses it, which created the lane, and Storm Johnson is a north-south runner and creates some thunder getting in that end zone.
12th rushing touchdown of the year for Storm Johnson. They used more than 30 seconds off the play clock on each snap. And that's not necessarily by design, because they're playing this high-powered Baylor team and they want to keep them off the field, although they do. But they typically do that game to game. Blake Bortles has a lot of liberty to change plays at the line of scrimmage, so they typically use a lot of the clock.
And that's what they're comfortable doing.
Sean Galvin slipped as he kicked off. Then it comes down short. Brought back by Trayvon Armstead. Oh, here comes Bryce Petty, like Blake Bortles, a junior, like Blake, a big man, 6'3", 230s from Midlothian, Texas, just outside Dallas. 30 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, and he was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. With that kind of efficiency, you might imagine near the top of the country, second in the nation in passing efficiency, behind only the Heisman Trophy winner, Jameis Winston of Florida State. 53 points per game, but facing a stingy defense that's 12th in the country in scoring defense. The Knights give up less than 20, and just like UCF's first snap, a false start penalty against the offense for Baylor.
75 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Troy Baker, the right tackle.
Offensive line wants to get off the ball and get some contact to get started, and Troy Baker missed some time with some injuries, but he's back out there and over anxious.
He blew out a knee in the spring. Coaches were amazed that he managed to make it back this season, and they needed him. They lost Spencer Drangle, a fine offensive tackle, to a back injury late in the year. Petty, with defenders in his face, throws it away. Pressure from Thomas Niles, a sophomore from Gainesville, Georgia.
It's a good job of playing a matchup zone. Central Florida will not just play a zone, but they'll run and jump routes. That is the only way you can defend this Bear offense. You have to jump routes, and you have to get some type of pressure with 4 like they did there with Thomas Niles.
5 wide receivers, and Petty, like Bortles, runs well for a large man. He's bumped out of bounds by Jordan Ozerites, one of the cornerbacks. It'll be 3rd down. The yard to make's the 44. Looking at Tyson Summers, who is the linebackers coach and defensive play caller tonight. They lost Jim Fleming right after the regular season. He became the head coach at the University of Rhode Island. He was the defensive coordinator, so pressure on Summers against this team. His defense off to a great start. Niles the sack.
Well, Niles just beats him with an inside move, and you can see maybe the rust on Troy Baker, and that's just quickness. You set him up outside hard, then you're able to hit a quick little swim inside. You got to be able to hold up.
J.J. Warden back for the punt from Spencer Roth. The average is 46 yards per punt, 5th in the nation, best in the Big 12. This one isn't a bomb. Warden caught it on the run and then slipped. We've seen that a couple of times. He had some running room as he approached midfield. Well, a big challenge tonight for the Knights defense. A rare 3-and-out for Baylor on offense. Niles, his 4th sack of the year, leads the team.
The 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl is brought to you by Tostitos Chips and Dips. Bring the party. AT&T, rethink possible. Toyota, let's go places. Universal Pictures Ride Along, starring Ice Cube and Kevin Hart, in theaters January 17th. And Capital One Bank, official partner of the BCS.
Aerial coverage of tonight's game provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Beautiful night in the Valley of the Sun. Among those in attendance, University of Phoenix Stadium, RG3. And on the UCF side, one of their all-time great players, Brandon Marshall, now starring for the Chicago Bears. One of the few benefits, I guess, of not making the playoffs. You get to come root on your old school.
Yes, sir.
His old school off to a great start. Blake Bortles, look out. Hit as he throws, has a receiver open. Rashad Perryman out of bounds. Inside the 20, they'll mark him at the 17.
We just talked about it. When they get over the 50, they're going to go deep on 1st down. A nice little play action. Under pressure, Bortles hangs in there, and Perriman's going to run what they call a wheel route. You're going to see Hall clear out. You put Perriman one-on-one with Terrell Burt, and it's no matchup. But good protection and good patience by Bortles to hang in there, take the hit, and still deliver a catchable ball down the field.
Got smacked by Chris McAllister, but threw an accurate ball to Perryman. They don't have one wide receiver that really stands out. They have 5 very good wide receivers, and Bortles spreads it around. Johnson inside the 15 to the 14. Brody Trahan made the tackle. He became a starter late in the year when they lost Bryce Hager, who was their middle linebacker. He's missed 4 games now at the end of the year with a groin injury, and that's a big loss. 2nd-year starter was Hager.
Yeah, and Eddie Lackey moved over to the middle linebacker spot, and Trahan replaced Lackey at his weak side linebacker spot. He's done a good job.
They follow Miller again, as Chris said they do so often. And it's Bortles inside the 10, about a yard short of the 1st down. Eddie Lackey made the tackle. 3rd down and 1 for Central Florida.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if Phil Bennett, and since Baylor likes to slant and angle so much, you tell your linebackers to tell the defensive line, go ahead and slant to Kevin Miller. That's where they're running. He's the best lead blocker.
Big part of the Baylor success, dramatic improvement in the defense over the previous 2 years under Phil Bennett. They went from one of the worst defenses in the country to one of the best. Joseph Popolo comes in as a blocker, and they follow him for a first down. Storm Johnson hurdles down to the 2. They don't really play with a fullback. Popolo gets in there from time to time. He's 5'9", 254. Man. There he is, number 39, leading the way.
He's knocking his own guys down. And Charlie Taft, the offensive coordinator, he called him, he's built like he's a safe.
He said he's a human safe. He's short and wide.
He's going to hit something. He knocked his own guy down and helped his guys get a block. He knows his role.
In there.
Yeah.
And if form holds, they'll follow him again. They do. Johnson, another touchdown. If you didn't know, you'd think the team in the white was the 17-point favorite tonight. Sean Moffitt, the extra point. 51 yards in 5 plays. And Storm Johnson, his second touchdown of the night. This one from 2 yards out.
Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
Welcome back to ESPN's presentation of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Central Florida's had the ball twice. They've scored twice. And they've made it look easy. Sean Galvin will kick off. He slipped and fell on his first kickoff attempt of the night from Cork, Ireland. Had relatives who lived in Florida. They expect a coach by the name of George O'Leary. If anybody's going to have an Irish kicker, it'd probably be George. Clay Fuller got banged down. Late flag thrown as he got belted by Jacoby Glenn and Drico Johnson. Tom Ritter, very experienced official out of the Southeastern Conference. He's a man who probably would have worked some national championships by now, but the SEC keeps putting teams in the national championship game, so their officials can't go.
In the last 8 years, been dominant.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Here's Shannon Spake.
Sean Bryce Petty upbeat on the sideline. He walked over to his offensive line. He patted them all on the shoulder. He said, "Don't worry about it. We're good." Randy Clements, offensive line coach, a little bit harsher of a message. He told his guys, "You play better than this. You're coached better than this. Is this what you want, guys?"
I like the coach's message better than Bryce's message because the coach's message is honest, because they're sleepwalking right now.
A 3-and-out in their first possession. They went 3-and-out only 16% of the time in the regular season. Lowest percentage in the country. Lake Seastrunk found nothing. Jacoby Glenn, the redshirt freshman cornerback who's had a great year, made the play. He was first team all-conference as a freshman in the American Athletic Conference.
Lake Seastrunk is not an outside runner. He has good enough speed, but where he does his damage and where Baylor does their damage on the ground is inside.
He's the leading rusher in the Big 12. There's a throw and catch, and a big one out to the 35-yard line. Tevin Reese, the speedy senior who averages 25 yards per catch. This one goes for 22.
You certainly have to give him his room because he'll burn you deep in a hurry, and they hit that one off the play action where the linebackers got sucked up.
Back to the run with Seastrunk. He's going to try to snap it within 15, 16, 17 seconds. Miles Pace stopped him after a gain of 2.
And one thing about Baylor's offense, Sean, on their play action, you shouldn't get caught up because that offensive line stands straight up. So as a linebacker, you see that, you have to get your depth and get out of there.
Look at the hats, as you like to say. Seastrunk. Nifty run. Still in bounds and then banged across the boundary by Sean Magg. One of only 2 seniors on this defense.
And this is still inside the tackles. Now he bounces it outside, and when he gets out in space, he's a smaller type guy, but he's powerfully built. You want to hit him high because you'll bounce right off of his legs if you go low.
20-yard run. Play fake to Glasgow Martin. And Petty threw behind his intended receiver, Reese, who's back in action after missing 3 games at the end of the year with a dislocated right wrist. They had a pin in there for a while. It's been removed, but he's still playing with a soft cast. And they weren't sure if he'd be full go tonight. At 25 yards per catch, leads the country, as you might expect. Glasgow Martin, solid backup, 490 yards rushing as their number 2 back. Taken down to the line by Troy Gray.
And George O'Leary had 3 principles about tonight. You have to tackle in space. You have to control the box. That means when the wide receivers are spread out, you have to be able to make tackles on those inside runs with 5 guys, then rally the football and communicate.
On 3rd and 10. Petty running out of time and throws it away in the general direction of Clay Fuller.
I can't tell you the importance of being able to put 7 guys in coverage against Baylor. The reason they're able to do that is because they're getting constant pressure on Petty by just rushing 4. It gives the Knight defense in their secondary a fighting chance when they can drop 7.
Art Briles loves to go for it on 4th down, but not on this 4th and 10. And to Roth, just did get it off. Fair catch made by J.J. Warden at the 10. 5:36 to go. First quarter of this Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Happy New Year, everyone. The Knights off to a great start. Been a terrific year for Central Florida. Their win at Penn State, their first ever against the Big Ten team. The win in Louisville, their first ever against the top 10 team. That propelled them toward the conference title. They're only lost by 3 points against South Carolina. They led 10-0 at home in that game. That's their only loss in a game decided by 7 points or fewer. They've squeaked by a lot. 7 wins by a touchdown or less, more than any team in the country. And it all adds up to 11-1. Perfect in conference in a BCS Bowl bid. They were picked to finish 4th in the American in the preseason poll behind Louisville, Cincinnati, and Rutgers. 3rd possession, they've scored touchdowns on the first 2. Worst field position by far, and Storm Johnson ran into Sean Oakman, the transfer from Penn State.
You know, he can cover a lot of ground at 6'9", 275 pounds. All he has to do is get across the line of scrimmage, and he just lays out, and he can cover 6 yards and get that big wingspan around the running back to bring him down.
He was honorable mention all conference. 2nd and 9, ticking down to 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Blake Bortles. Low throw, and Kevin Miller couldn't come up with it. Sam Hall in coverage. It'll be 3rd down and 9. Very rare that they're in 3rd and 7 plus. Only 6 teams had fewer 3rd down and 7s or longer in the country this year than Central Florida, which had 62 in the regular season.
You see if Phil Bennett decides to get aggressive. I don't think he will, because Oakman is able to get pressure. Was pressured that last time on Bortles, forced the overthrow and a step out of the pocket by Bortles.
There was movement before the snap along the right end of that offensive line.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
Chris Martin, 5th-year senior, right tackle, 2nd team all conference in the American.
And they did a good job of showing like they were bringing pressure, which A lot of times those offensive linemen get nervous because if they have outside blocking assignments, they want to get out there and not get beat deep, especially when you're pinned back in your own territory.
Martin's the only player in the history of their school to be on 4 bowl teams. He redshirted in 2009. Bortles back into his own end zone. Lofts one for Johnson. He couldn't catch it. Would have been a first down if he could make a tough catch on the run, but he did not.
That's a good throw, and again, we talked about one of the strengths of Blake Bortles is being accurate on the run, just a little bit overthrown. Trahan, the linebacker, was man-to-man. He made the mistake of looking back at the quarterback, and that's when Storm Johnson pulled away.
Well, the first punt of the night, Caleb Houston, the back of his own end zone. Levi Norwood near midfield waiting for it. Not a good kick. Houston, we have a problem.
Very nice.
Got a little bit of a bounce along the far sideline that helped. And the ball went out of bounds at the 45-yard line. It wound up as a 39-yard kick. Monday, January 6th, 1 versus 2 in the Vizio BCS National Championship game. Trey Mason and the remarkable Auburn Tigers against Jameis Winston and Florida State. Coverage starts at 8 Eastern time on ESPN. Auburn with the tremendous turnaround under Gus Malzahn, 3-9 a year ago, 12-1 this year, and with a magical ending to the season.
Yeah, boy, and they run it downhill. And let's see if Florida State will be up to that challenge of getting punched in the face. How are they going to respond? Because I know Auburn will.
Bryce Petty too high. Good coverage by Jordan Ozerites, who closed quickly on Corey Coleman.
He's been solid tonight. Now, they had an incomplete pass when he was matched up against Tevin Reese. He didn't bite on a double move, so that's what they need from him, those corners to hold up.
Antoine Goodley. Ankle tackled by Sean Magg, just short of the first down by about 2 yards. Baylor goes quickly, 3rd down and 2. They're at the 37, 2 yards short of the 35, the yard to make. Seastrunk. Down inside the 10. Magg and Ozerites prevented the touchdown.
The big Cyril Richardson, number 68 at 340 pounds, pulls around and seals it. 2 guys inside from Central Florida, and here we go.
Petty, quick pop. Was that a catch? Jordan Nybar, the tight end, did catch it, but he's down short of the end zone. Well, after the 29-yard run by Seastrunk, they go to the quick hitter, and now they line up very quickly. And Petty shoves it in. That's almost unfair. Clearly that play was in their pocket and ready to go in this situation. And Petty scores his 12th rushing touchdown. They like to do it. Was that a catch?
Looks like a good catch to me, and I love the fact that once they hit a big play, they have a team that sprints down the field, understanding even to prevent a possible look at it. They get the ball snapped in a hurry, then they're ready for the quarterback sneak right off the get-go.
Aaron Jones for the extra point. Now made 186 PATs in a row, the longest active streak in the nation. Baylor's on the board, down by a touchdown now with under 4 to go in the first quarter. Allstate is celebrating its 9th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3.4 million in scholarship funds. Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Shannon Spake at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. 43rd edition. Played in this building since 2007, the spectacular home of the Arizona Cardinals. Baylor fired up after the score. The 27th touchdown drive of the year that took under a minute. 51 seconds to go 45 yards. Aaron Jones drives the kickoff through the back of the end zone.
Well, Sean, you know the UCF plan was to stay on the field, to keep that clock moving. Blake Bortles, he thinks that the penalties are getting them off schedule, and he just reminded his guys about that. He said, guys, it's the mental errors. We've got to stay on track. We've got to stay on schedule in this game.
That's how they win all year. And they're one of the top teams in the country with 3rd and 7+. And you see Charlie Taff, who's so far devised an outstanding offensive game plan for the Knights, excuse me.
Formerly the Golden Knights. They dropped the golden part of it back in 2007. Blake Bortles out of the gun. Only thrown it 3 times, 1 for 3. They've been effective on the ground. Primarily Storm Johnson, who surged ahead for 3. That is his given name. We asked him the other day when we visited, not a nickname. He was born Storm Johnson.
He's a tough inside runner. Really strong lower body. Good leverage and vision. That's what he felt his top quality was as a running back, was his vision, seeing the holes and hitting it.
Bortles, wow. Fake to nobody in particular, but it seemed to shed the defense. Wasn't anybody nearby to pitch it to, but he weaved out to the 39, got a first down, and then Ahmad Dixon made the tackle after a gain of 11.
He's going to actually have a receiver out here to possibly throw the screen. Baylor jumped that, and so he had the knowledge to go ahead and the patience to pull it down, tuck it up, and get a 10-yard gain off of it. This smart player, he's patient, he understands, he doesn't panic. That's a strength of his.
Doing his best RG3 imitation with the Heisman winner in the house. 50 yards rushing for Bortles in the quarter. J.J. Wharton the catch. Ahmad Dixon, one of the best safeties in the country, made the tackle. Dixon made 7 different All-American teams in this postseason, including first team by the Sporting News and the American Football Coaches Association.
He's what Phil Bennett calls his down safety. He's the guy that comes up there, can play the nickel back and play like a linebacker against the run. Very tough kid.
Again, they run the play clock down. Storm Johnson spun back by Eddie Lackey. No gain on the play for Johnson.
Phil Bennett couldn't speak enough about Eddie Lackey and the type of year that he had, and felt he should have been named on some All-America teams.
Third down and 5. Under a minute and a half to go in the first quarter. UCF leading by a score. A blitz and a screen. And it pinballed around and fell incomplete. Eddie Lackey helped blow it up. It was intended for Jeff Godfrey. Boy, that was well defended, because usually when you put pressure on the quarterback, the screen goes. But that didn't go.
Yeah, you want to try to get the guard, one of the McCray brothers, down there to pick off the linebacker in man-to-man coverage. And we just talked about Eddie Lackey. The one thing that makes him an outstanding player is his instincts. He read it all the way and almost had a big play for the Bear defense.
Caleb Houston on the punt again. Better effort this time. Levi Norwood, fair catch at the 11. Been a great season for Baylor, leading the nation in scoring and in total offense. On their way to 11-1, and the outright Big 12 championship, their first conference title since 1980, which they clinched on the last day of the regular season with a home win over Texas. 11 wins for the first time under Art Briles, and they make their first BCS Bowl appearance tonight. It's also 7 wins or more for the 4th straight year. That's the first time that's ever happened at Baylor.
He's really got it going down there, and they're excited about the Baylor Bears. New stadium going up. Nice.
They closed out Floyd Casey with that big win over Texas. Seastrunk back to the line, and that's all. Taken down by Terrence Plummer, the middle linebacker, junior from Orange Park, Florida, near Jacksonville. Ordinarily, he's the signal caller, but they don't have time to transfer the signals. Petty going deep and has a man running free. And Goodley couldn't catch it. He got behind Jacoby Glenn, but they did not connect.
Well, it's a little bit of a trail route. Norwood sits it down, and Goodley, using his outstanding speed, is open deep. And one of the strengths of Bryce Petty, Sean, all year has been the accuracy and touch on the deep ball. And right there, he missed a golden opportunity to hit Goodley for 6.
Would have been a tie game. Instead, it's 3rd and 11 from their own 10. Only a 4-man rush and a first down on the completion to Corey Coleman, who's down at the 23-yard line. Terrence Plummer will be credited with the tackle, a gain of 13.
Yeah, well, this is the matchup you want. Anytime you can get a receiver, an inside receiver on a linebacker, you take it all day.
Petty out wide to Jay Lee. 18th catch of the year for the sophomore. Boy, they're up to the line of scrimmage in a blur. And another example, Chris, of how they make you defend the entire field, horizontally and vertically. Their wide receivers will line up from sideline to sideline.
That's where they get a lot of their reads from, Sean, is where the safety and linebackers are.
Seastrunk. Tackle by Terrence Plummer. That'll take us to the end of an entertaining first quarter. UCF 148 yards of offense, 50 yards rushing by Blake Bortles, the big surprise. End of the first quarter at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. The Knights from Orlando, Florida, on 2 touchdowns by Storm Johnson, lead 14-7 over Bryce Petty and the Baylor Bears. Welcome back to ESPN's presentation of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. End of one quarter. Central Florida leading Baylor 14-7. Baylor came into this game having outscored their opponents 201-50 in the first quarter this year. They're not used to this. On 3rd and 1, Glasgow Martin gets a Baylor first down.
Sometimes you get a little concerned about that, and I did watch him in practice work on quarterback center exchange. When they're not used to it, a game time situation, a lot of times it's not executed. That time they executed it perfectly.
Well, the second time this year. They've trailed at the end of the quarter. They averaged 32 points per game in the first half this year. Glasgow Martin crossed the 35 and then got banged down by Troy Gray.
They're going with a little bit of a power package where they'll take number 18. You see the big fella at tight end. They line him up as the H-back, and now they like a little play action off of this look.
Bryce Petty throws. Short of a first down is Goodley as he circled back. And Troy Gray made another tackle. Third down and 3. And a whistle and a false start. Looked like Cyril Richardson was pulling early.
Number 77, offense, 5-yard penalty remains, 3rd down.
And they got Kevin Palmer, the right tackle. Art Briles says Cyril Richardson, by the way, the left guard, number 68, is the best offensive lineman in the country. So you might want to keep an eye on him tonight.
Described as dangerous. You know who he reminds me of? A young Larry Allen. Not saying he's going to be Larry Allen, but he's built like Larry Allen and he moves like Larry Allen. Hall of Famer from the Cowboys.
He was a finalist for the Outland Trophy and was a unanimous All-American. Petty on 3rd and 8. Had to pull it down, throws, and it's incomplete. Antoine Goodley could not complete the catch. Jordan Ozerites broke it up. There's a young man they weren't even sure was going to be on the team back in the spring, but he earned his way back into the good graces of George O'Leary and has had a terrific year.
Yeah, an outstanding break on the football. You see the quick feet, the break forward. Even though Goodley worked back to the ball, Ozerites never quit. Then once the ball was caught, he came in and played the receiver's hands to bat it out.
Spencer Roth on the punt. Good one. Fair catch made by J.J. Wharton at the 13-yard line. So it hasn't been a big night for these two passers, but Blake Bortles has been very productive on the ground.
Yeah, and this is part of their game plan coming in. According to Charlie Tapp, Blake Bortles is running a zone read, doing a good job of reading a zone read. That guy goes inside with the fake, he's going to run it. If he goes outside with him, he's going to keep it. Then you set it up with the play action pass on the wheel route with Rashad Perriman. Excellent job of executing Blake Bortles. I love his patience as a quarterback. I think he's outstanding in that area.
He's season high in rushing, 63 yards in their last second win at Temple. A handoff to Jeff Godfrey. And he's out to the 20, taken down by Eddie Lackey. Godfrey was the starting quarterback for a couple of years, but when Blake Bortles started to emerge, the coaches said, Jeff, you're going to be a wide receiver.
Yeah, Jeff didn't agree with that decision initially, but he's turned himself into a contributor on his team as a wide receiver.
William Stanback in at running back now, the freshman, the track star in high school on Long Island. And then a terrific second team running back behind Storm Johnson. Couldn't get going that time. Hit immediately by Jamal Palmer. Backup defensive end, and that's a big difference in this Baylor defense over recent years. Now they have depth.
Phil Bennett told us he can go about 6, 7, 8 guys deep. And Sean, Blake Bortles threw his hands up in the air. We talked about just the highlight package previous of all the good reads he was making. That was a poor read off the zone read. He should have pulled it and kept it because he had a wide open lane on the outside. There's Oakham, big 6'9", 275 pounds. Watch him on the pass rush. He's been getting pressure in his one-on-one situations.
On 3rd and 3. Bortles throwing into single coverage and too long. Looking for Rashad Perriman with K.J. Morton in coverage. Perriman's the son of Chris's former teammate with the Detroit Lions, Brett Perriman.
And Brett Perriman was one of the all-time tough guys that I played with. I loved playing with him, a great competitor. I asked Charlie Taff, does he have great hands like his dad? And he said that's one of his strongest assets is his strong hands. Doesn't drop a lot of balls.
Brett Perriman spent 10 years in the NFL, primarily with the Lions and Saints. Caleb Houston. Another short kick. Fair catch signaled on the run by Levi Norwood. 36-yard punt. Oklahoma and Alabama coming your way Thursday night at 8 p.m. in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma trying to knock off two-time defending national champs who won't play for the title this year. The All-State Sugar Bowl tomorrow at 8 on ESPN. Baylor ball. UCF leading by a touchdown early in the second quarter here at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. On their own 43, lots of running room for Antoine Goodley, who dragged the safety Brandon Alexander for a couple of yards at the end of the run to the 35 of the night. So 22-yard pickup.
Yeah, they go in a hurry after a big gain. They want to get that ball snapped.
Low snap handled by Petty. All kinds of time, and the deep pass just out of the reach of Tevin Reese.
It's right out of the playbook, Sean. George O'Leary, the defensive coordinator for tonight's game, along with Tyson Summers. They understand once they get one up the middle or go for about 20 yards, they're going to take their shot down the field, and they were ready to play.
You just joined us. Jim Fleming, the defensive coordinator, hired as head coach at Rhode Island a couple of weeks ago, and there's movement again. And again, it's Kevin Palmer.
False start,
the left tackle.
number 77, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
But George O'Leary didn't think that coaching change was going to be a big deal. He said, first of all, you can't get that deep and complicated in your calls because you have to get them in so fast. There's only going to be a few defensive calls we're going to have. And George said if Tyson Summers struggles, I'm right there to help.
Well, the biggest thing in this offense is you want to have communication with your defense.
Blake Seastrunk gets them back to the 33-yard line. Terrence Plummer, Jacoby Glenn made the tackle. And George O'Leary's background is entirely on defense. They're showing blitz. They bring it. And the pass is too high, intended for Levi Norwood.
Well,
Brandon Alexander had the coverage.
A good call right here by Tyson Summers as you come with the blitz. Baylor does not pick it up, forcing the high throw by Bryce Petty, and we know that Baylor loves to go for it on 4th down. There's a consultation going on.
As George said, now this is his history anyway. George says, I'm always very involved with my coaches during the game on offense and defense. Said particularly if it isn't going well, I tend to get more involved.
It's going pretty good so far tonight.
4th and 8, and they're going for it. And Petty slipped down. Looked like a quarterback draw. But on this natural grass turf, he fell down. This is the home of the Arizona Cardinals. They hosted a home game here Sunday against San Francisco. And you wonder if some of the work they did to get the field ready has made it a little bit slippery.
Well, right there, it's a blown opportunity. If it was a quarterback draw, I don't know why you run that. And Sean, he tucked it away like it was. And to counter that, you saw what Central Florida had. They had a little stunt where they were bringing around Miles Pace to come in and take away that run area. They're really well prepared tonight on defense, the Knights.
Blake Bortles. Inside handoff to Williams Standback. Got a hard-earned 2. Banged around by Eddie Lackey and Brody Trahan. Chris, in some ways, this is reminiscent of that national championship game between Oregon and Auburn, played in this building when the field conditions, slipping and sliding, was a big problem.
And that certainly is a benefit and a plus for UCF. I mean, I'm sure they would probably try to water this field down if they could before the game started. If they were allowed.
George was out here last night with a hose.
Yeah.
2nd and 8. Baylor defense has settled in after UCF scored in its first 2 possessions. There's a strike for a first down. J.J. Wharton tackled by Ahmad Dixon in Baylor territory at the 47, a gain of 16.
Well, it helps to be 6'5" so you can throw over trees. He's taller than all his offensive linemen, and so he stands tall and strong in the pocket. His footwork is outstanding. His patience for the route to come open is there. And most importantly, his accuracy is right on target.
And only 5 FBS schools have recruited him. Only 2 thought he could be a quarterback. Central Florida was one of them. George O'Leary said if it didn't work out, we were going to make him a tight end. He's throwing deep. Single coverage. And it's intercepted by Dimitri Goodson. Intended for Rennell Hall, and Goodson picked it off.
It's a wrong read. He had Perriman wide open. Plus, he had the corner of the end zone to work with. Goodson is on top of the route. Shows his strength and wins the battle. The former guard from Gonzaga makes a great athletic play, but Perriman was the guy that he should have went to. Sean, he had the matchup that he wanted. He had the whole field to work with in the back corner.
3rd interception of the year for Goodson. Blake Bortles saw his receiver with inside position, thought there was going to be a completion. It was not. Goodson's a great athlete, as Chris said. He was a starting point guard for 2 years on the outstanding basketball teams up at Gonzaga for Mark Few. Decided he didn't want to play basketball anymore. He hadn't played high school football since his sophomore year in 2005. But he called the Baylor coaches and they took him. He had to earn his way into a scholarship as a football player. Petty into coverage and broken up. It floated for Tevin Reese. Brandon Alexander thought he should have had an interception.
He should have. He actually gets a good break. But you see how they're playing matchup zone? They're not out there covering dirt. They're running to wide receivers, and Alexander comes from his backside safety position and is able to go ahead and play the hands of Tevin Reese. And actually, Tevin Reese should have held on to that football. Maybe his wrist affected him on that catch.
Petty slings it out quickly, low for Reese, so no run after the catch. Tevin Reese, like many of these Baylor players, not highly recruited. He was a 2-star recruit. We asked him the other day, how come you didn't get much attention? He said, I was a tight end in high school in a wing T offense. I was 140 pounds, and I caught 6 balls my junior year. Petty throws a floater, caught. And it's going to depend on the mark. It looked like Goodley again circled back a bit, and he's short. Jacoby Glenn made the tackle. And as much as Art Briles loves to go for it on 4th down, I don't know if you can do it from your own 13-yard line.
You know,
they're going to measure.
Yeah, I think, Sean, he had to come back for that ball, because anytime you're thrown from the back hash all the way, you better work back to it. But I'll tell you, the one key coming into this game tonight for the Knights defense was to tackle in space. And they've been able to do that out on the edges. Athlete for athlete, they've matched Baylor so far tonight.
They are short, and under 9 minutes to go in the first half. UCF leading 14-7. Short by about a half yard.
Bryce Petty's jogging out to the huddle.
I wonder if they're just going to try to draw him offside. Art Briles is pointing to his watch. I don't know if that means to run the clock down, the play clock, but we'll see. Will they snap it from their own 13, 4th and 1? No, they won't. They try to draw him offside. Central Florida too well coached to go for that one. First time out of the half used by either team.
The 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl is brought to you by Nissan and the all-new Rogue. Nissan, innovation that excites. Gatorade, when you put in the hard work, you can win from within. The Discover It card, it's a game changer. Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live Mas. And Vizio Fandemonium. Go to VizioFanZone.com and outshout your rival to push your team to victory.
Back inside University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. UCF leading Baylor 14-7, nearly midway through the second quarter, on 4th and 1 from their own 13. The Bears will punt. Spencer Roth, good kick over the head of J.J. Wharton and out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Time now for a look at our AT&T All-America Player of the Year nominee. He's Jordan Lynch, senior quarterback from Northern Illinois. This season he passed for 2,892 yards, rushed for another 1,920. The Huskies went 12-2. What a player he is. Visit ESPNAllamerica.com to vote. The winner will be announced during the Vizio BCS National Championship game on Monday night, January 6th.
Jordan was on my Heisman finalist list. Outstanding college football player. Great college football player.
You can only vote for 3, so he was in your top 3.
Yes, sir.
Blake Bortles under pressure. It's deflected and intercepted. Tipped to the line of scrimmage, and Eddie Lackey picked it off. Looked like Sam Hall deflected it, and Lackey intercepted it, his 3rd of the year.
I love Sam Hall right here, knowing that he's not going to go ahead and get to the quarterback, does not follow the dive, and is able to get his hands up in space. And a guy that seems to be around the ball all the time, Eddie Lackey, comes up with an athletic catch with a huge defensive stand and turnover by the Bear defense. Now, look for them. They might try to attack the end zone. After turnovers, they like to go down the field.
Petty, after the play fake, wanted to throw it deep. Nobody there, so Bryce runs out of bounds. Terrence Plummer chased him out. Second turnover of the night for Central Florida. Both of them interceptions. Hall caused it with the deflection. Bortles has thrown 2 interceptions. He has the best ratio in UCF history of attempts without throwing interceptions. Not tonight. Petty down the middle and caught at the 10. Levi Norwood, touchdown Baylor.
Patience in the pocket. See how wide they are. Levi Norwood has to work back inside. You watch him on film. He is very strong with run after catch. And the thing that's a little frustrating, Jacoby Glenn has a chance as RG3 applauds his former teammate to make a play. He does not wrap his arms, and a strong runner like Norwood will just bounce off and make you pay.
Whoa, problems on the hold for Brody Trahan, trying to run for two, and he doesn't get there. Brandon Alexander chased him down. There is a flag down at the end of the run. Boy, the extra point is a gimme for Baylor. You mentioned earlier, Jones has made 186 in a row.
There is no foul
had
on the play.
trouble.
The point is no good.
With the hold. And they pick up the flag. Central Florida still has the lead. 13 unanswered points. Didn't look like much of a problem with the snap. Trahan just didn't get it down. Happy New Year, everyone, from the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the Valley of the Sun. Retractable roof on University of Phoenix Stadium was closed tonight. It was 64 degrees outside. We've been here for a week. We haven't seen a cloud yet.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Especially the nights and those stars. Just beautiful.
And they have the roof closed. It's been about 70 degrees for the high temperature every day. These two schools playing in their first BCS bowl game have enjoyed a great week. The terrific hospitality of the Fiesta Bowl people. More than 2,900 volunteers who helped make this a great event. Aaron Jones kicks off. It tumbles down to Williams. Stand back. He got knocked down at the 25-yard line. Here's tonight's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate. With all the excellent receivers on both teams, surprisingly, it's a defender.
Yeah, you have good hands by Hall to block the shot. And Eddie Lackey laying out, catching the ball with his hands and able to secure as he hits the ground. I look for Central Florida now, Sean. They need to come out and reestablish the physical running game. They had success early with that, and that's how you eat a little bit of clock and let Blake Bortles settle down, since he's thrown 2 picks the past 2 series.
Yeah, he's thinking about going into the NFL draft. He's not helping his stock tonight with his throwing. He's 3 out of 9. Storm Johnson lost the football, and it's the 3rd turnover of the half. Sam Hall again. He wound up with it after the ball was ripped out. Johnson's had fumble problems. He put 2 on the ground in their win against South Florida and was put on the bench for a while.
Well, you see from the backside, number 92, Jamal Palmer comes in and rips it out. Storm Johnson's strength is running inside, not outside. He had the ball in the wrong arm, and he was carrying it away from his body in the backside pursuit, not going for the knockout hit, but going for the strip. Caused a big play for Phil Bennett and the Baylor Bear defense.
Well, everything was going Central Florida's way early as the Knights raced to a 14-0 lead. But now momentum on the side of the Bears, and George O'Leary with his team on its heels going to use a timeout to try to settle them back down.
It's a good timeout, and you got to be alert. And I think he's going to alert them that they just have a turnover, and we know what they like to do. They like to go to the end zone. That's what they'll try to do. So he's going to make sure everybody's on the same page and settle everybody down.
3 turnovers in the last 3 possessions now for Central Florida when you're a 17-point underdog and you're off to a great start. Well, that's not the way to continue in the direction of pulling off a big upset.
Well, I think everybody would agree that Baylor's offense doesn't need help with field position. We were just commenting, you and I, between break, how quick they can score. And for Central Florida, just keep your composure, do what you're doing. And right down there, and you see as the offense gets together, and Blake Bortles will settle them down and do what we do.
What do you think of Blake Bortles? Very few fans around the country had heard of him entering this season. He emerged during the year. We mentioned he was the player of the year in the American ahead of Teddy Bridgewater. He was first team all-conference quarterback ahead of Teddy Bridgewater. But Chris Mortensen said on SportsCenter this morning some NFL teams have him as a high first-round pick. Some give him a fourth-round grade. There's a lot of debate about how good he really is.
Well, I think his best football is ahead of him, and I would probably lean toward Chris Mortensen right now after 2 games of film that I watched on him.
Petty after the play fake. Low throw. Reese did scoop it off the top of the grass for about a 2-yard gain.
That's the thing that's missing from Baylor's offense in this first half is on the short throws. Petty hasn't been accurate, so you can't get the ball into those athletes' hands so they can work in space and use their ability.
The credit the front. They're getting in his face and disrupting the view. Glasgow Martin tries to turn the corner, and Terrence Plummer yanked him down. Terrence got the message from George O'Leary practice the other day. He's used to telling his teammates where to line up when they signal in the defense. George O'Leary said if you do that one more time, you're getting on the bus and going home. You won't have time in this game against this team to tell everybody where to line up. They're all looking at the same signals. They'll take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's where you have to trust your teammates that they're as prepared as you. And Terrence Plummer's outstanding linebacker.
3rd and 5, lofted right to Brandon Alexander. So the Baylor Bears hand it right back. And neither of these two highly touted quarterbacks on top of his game from a passing standpoint here in the first quarter and a half.
Well, he hit the panic button. And right here you see Goodley's going to work right down the seam, and Brandon Alexander is going to jump the route. Again, they're not playing zone. They're playing the routes, and he almost ran where he was supposed to go before the receiver ran there. It's an easy pick for Brandon Alexander. This defense is so well prepared for this offense tonight. It's really an outstanding job by George O'Leary and his defensive staff.
And he has been for a long time one of the best defensive minds in the country. Started up at Syracuse, a defensive coach, defensive coordinator, Georgia Tech. He's coordinated defenses in the NFL.
Well, that timeout paid off. I guarantee you he set that up with that timeout. Promise you.
Just the 3rd interception of the year thrown by Bryce Petty. And a huge one, perhaps a momentum stopper for Baylor. Jeff Godfrey stopped at the 24-yard line. George O'Leary now 67 years old, at a terrific run at Georgia Tech, won an ACC championship, took them to 5 bowl games, then went on to Notre Dame, coached for 5 days, resigned because of the problems with his resume, which he embellished by his own admission. He has won 6 Coach of the Year awards in his conference. Only 2 active coaches have been their conference Coach of the Year more often than George O'Leary. Jeff Godfrey got walloped by Ahmad Dixon and Terrell Burt, pardon me.
Here you come, yeah. Burt and Dixon both coming. I like what they're doing offensively, though, Sean, as you're going to see the hit right here. I like what they're doing offensively. What they're doing to get Blake Bortles back in rhythm, a lot of quick, short passing games, and that's what you need to do to settle a quarterback down.
And if you're wondering, Steve Spurrier and Bill Snyder, the only active coaches who've been their conference Coach of the Year more often than George O'Leary. Spurrier 9 times and Snyder 7. Storm Johnson ran into Andrew Billings, true freshman. And they think he's going to be a star, part of that improved depth on the Baylor defense.
Did really well against Texas, and a state powerlifting record setter in the state of Texas for high school. You can see him thick lower body.
Number 75 right over the center, Joey Grant. It's a good offensive line for Central Florida. Both guards, Jordan and Justin McCray, identical twins, were first team all conference. Movement along the line, but no flag. Single coverage and a flag thrown to the secondary as Brashad Perryman was impeded by KJ Morton.
Well, you can kind of get the feel that they were going here. I looked at Perryman and he's looking in, and Blake, please look at me. I promise you I'll win this one-on-one coverage against KJ Morton.
Pass interference, number 8 defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And one thing about Brashad is his strength as a receiver. See, you try to get a jam on him, but he runs right through that jam. And I tell you, KJ does the right thing. If you're going to get beat and he's over the top of you, go ahead and grab to slow him down as you see that 11 on his jersey stretch.
We saw a replay a moment ago. Perryman in the previous play being held by Dimitri Goodson. This one flagged. We mentioned the penalty problems for Baylor, the most penalized team in the country. 108 this year, 6 tonight. A little more than a quarter and a half.
And come back to their inside running game.
Williams Stanback, the freshman. They faked it to him. And a pass behind him. And a little bit of running room.
Again, there's you see a little bit of inconsistency by Blake Bortles. They have the matchup that you want. Eddie Lackey gets caught peeking in the backfield, and Stanback, off what they call an option route, beat him inside. He's an exciting player. Bright future.
Stanback's from Hempstead, New York, on Long Island, was not highly recruited. Doug Marrone, the former Syracuse coach, tipped off George O'Leary to Stanback. Doug once coached for George at Georgia Tech. Rennell Hall off to the races. Looking for a block. He gets help from Josh Reese and scores. .50-yard touchdown. They went 80 yards after the interception. Dramatic swing. Looked like Baylor was poised to take the lead, and all of a sudden the Knights lead is back to 8 points. Rennell Hall, the junior from Miami. Just his 4th receiving touchdown of the season. Back at the 43rd Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the University of Phoenix Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. Baylor is 17-point favorite, but Central Florida, with an up and down half offensively, has opened up an 8-point lead. Scored in their first 2 possessions, then went 6 possessions without scoring, including 3 turnovers. And after they had their first takeaway of the night in the end zone to prevent Baylor from taking the lead, they went 80 yards to push the lead to 8. Corey Coleman upended as he crossed the 20.
Reminiscent of past Baylor defenses. They're going to have a hat on a hat, and what they're saying, Sean, is this guy is better than this guy in space. Let's see what happens. Also keep your eye on number 25, Sam Hall, who does a good job of hustling but makes the cardinal sin of mistakes right here. Not securing the tackle, instead to try to go for the club turnover, and you end up not giving your defense a chance to fight in the red zone, allowing Hall to use his excellent speed to beat everybody there.
One of the few mistakes Sam Hall's made tonight.
Yes, sir. He's been playing outstanding, but that's one where you have to secure. You can secure with your left arm and come down with a club to try to turn it over, but not the punch without securing one hand on the tackle.
Baylor on 1st and 10. Bryce Petty whistles before the snap. Another false start. The 7th penalty of the half against Baylor.
On the offense, not all 11 players were set for 1 second. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
I never saw a penalty or a false start on all 11 players. That's what
not all of them. Some of them were set, we think. First and 15. 5 minutes to go in the half. Lake Seastrunk slides through the middle. Sean Magg made the tackle. Seastrunk from Temple, Texas, near Waco, but highly recruited, went to Oregon, had a redshirt year, and then transferred back home. He actually went 2 years without playing football, the redshirt year at Oregon, and had to sit out as a transfer. He got stopped by Troy Gray and Miles pace about 3 yards short of a first down.
This is where the Knight defense has been able to play some tight man-to-man. Now they're playing a little off.
Petty, far sideline. Tevin Reese. First down to the 40-yard line.
It's an easy read, and it's one of the few times that Petty has got the ball on time and on target as Niver gets the lead block to Reese so he can do his damage and use his speed to get positive yards.
11-yard gain. Bryce Petty, look out. Had to pull it down. Now he takes off and dives head first across midfield. 11-yard run, another first down.
Again, this is where they want to take a shot as soon as they cross midfield.
Fake to Seastrunk. And the catch made. Coleman running free. Yanked down by Clayton Geathers, the safety, who saved the touchdown. First down Baylor at the 17-yard line.
Well, he has good position, Glenn, off the get-go, but he takes a poor angle on a tackle. You never give up the outside, so you can use the sideline as a helper.
32-yard gain. A Baylor blitz. Alexander the blitzer slowed down Seastrunk, and then Plummer finished him off. At the 12, a pickup of 5. 3.5 minutes to go in an entertaining first half. Baylor has not led, trailed 14-0. Seastrunk ran right into the pile. Primary tackle by Troy Gray, the linebacker, junior from Kennesaw, Georgia, who's had a nice first half.
All the linebackers have played well for Central Florida. And they're really reading kind of Baylor's mail, meaning they're calling run blitzes right into runs.
Petty has some running room. Has a first down. Has a touchdown. Up and over. Jacoby Glenn for the score. His mom, Dina, a bit concerned about her sons. He got upended.
Big relief when she sees him get up and jog off the field to celebrate with his teammates.
They're not going to chase that missed extra point yet. They're going to kick it and make it a one-point game. Aaron Jones connects after the mishandled snap on the last PAT try.
I'm going to show you an example of fatigue. Take a look at number 57 for the Knights, Troy Gray. He's trying to pursue the football, but he has no energy. And you see him kind of pull up right there, a little bit tired. And also you have Tevin Reese, the small, tough Tevin Reese, doing a good job of blocking Glenn, number 12, to clear the way for Bryce Petty. But the fatigue hurt the Knights as Bryce Petty smells the end zone and does whatever he has to do to get in there.
What do you expect from Tevin Reese? He was a wing T tight end.
That's right.
At 140 pounds. We talked with him the other day. There he is trying to help out Petty as he got to the goal line. And he is a very funny young man. Tevin Reese. RG3. Ooh. He's taking some hard hits, and that one made him squirm. Mom squirming as well.
Sean, that was the first series where fatigue, I think, was a factor for that defense right there. And
they might have wanted the roof open tonight. It's warm inside the building with the roof closed. 659 points now. They break a record set by Texas in 2005 for total points in a season. 13-game schedule. Rennell Hall tripped up as he crossed the 15-yard line by Terrence Singleton. Here's John Saunders.
Hi, Ron. Sean, thanks a lot. Coming up on the Buick Halftime Report, I'll be joined by Mark May and Lou Holtz. And we'll have a great look at Michigan State with a tremendous win against Stanford. There was a very long run in the Gator Bowl, almost 100 yards there. And Jadeveon Clowney, surprise. We think he's turning pro. We'll explain when we come back. Sean, back to you.
All right, John, good day for the Big Ten win by Nebraska against Georgia, and Michigan State winning the Rose Bowl, the 100th Rose Bowl game. 1st and 10, Central Florida. Knights from their own 17. Storm Johnson taken down after a gain to the 21, a pickup of 4. Ahmad Dixon made the tackle. He's a man who helped turn this Baylor program around. One of the top recruits in the country. Went to high school right in Waco. He was committed to Texas, then changed his mind. Believed in what Art Briles was pitching, that he could be a big part of turning it around in his hometown. Bortles completes a Perriman, but short of the first down. Dixon again. Here he is from Waco. A lot of his relatives from Waco. They said, what are you doing? You're going to go to Baylor? We don't want to go to Baylor games. We want to go to Texas games. Baylor was so bad for so long. But Ahmad Dixon said, we're going to turn it around. He said, now those same people are calling me, asking me for tickets.
You know what a big help that was to Art Briles. When you're able to nail a guy like that, then he can help you recruit other players to come to Waco and play for the Bears.
Dixon was the number 15 ranked recruit in the entire country coming out of high school.
I look at him as he moves to the next level as a Troy Polamalu or TJ Ward, one of those tough fillers. You know, he's maybe lacking a little bit in his man coverage skills, but very good on the run, very good zone player, instinctive and tough. Guy you'd love to have on your football team.
A little surprised here, Chris, that Central Florida called the timeout, because now if you don't convert this 3rd down, you're leaving a lot of time on the clock for Baylor. They don't need a lot of time.
And I'll agree with you. I think the only reason to call the timeout is that you have a certain play that you want to run, and you want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with that play and make sure your protection is set and the routes are run correctly.
Bortles, one of his strengths, getting them into the right play at the line. Storm Johnson gets the first down. As we said, a good idea to take that timeout by George O'Leary.
Well, you know what they did, Sean? We saw it in the first half. Kevin Miller, number 85, you can set your clock to it. They're going to run to him when he's in the backfield or bootleg away from him. Now, Baylor needs to start slanting to their defense when they get that 2-back look.
That line does line up, the defensive line, well off the ball on most snaps. Bortles zips one. Awkward catch, but it was made by Rennell Hall to the 35. 1 timeout left for the Knights. Clock running, 1:45 to go. They have a very good field goal kicker in Sean Moffitt, whose long this year is 50. Nice pocket for Bortles, and he takes advantage with a strike to J.J. Wharton. And a first down to the 48.
Here's a rule, Sean. If there's one receiver in front of you, I promise you there's one behind. The linebackers are sitting on the checkdowns, and Wharton's just sneaking across the middle and hitting it.
13-yard gain. Andrew Billings is not getting up for the Baylor defense. And the clock stopped with 1:31 to go in the half. Central Florida leading 21-20. They'll have 1st and 10 from their own 48 when play resumes.
That's what Baylor needs to correct also. You have to understand the situation in the game. Give up the checkdowns. Their linebackers need to get depth, and don't worry about the short pass underneath. You rally to make that hit, but if you jump that underneath route, Blake Bortles is too smart and patient where he'll hit that dig right behind the linebackers at about 12 to 14 yards.
They'll really have something special next year if he comes back. They have just 8 seniors on their team, Central Florida. Only 7 scholarship seniors. Only South Carolina in the entire country had fewer seniors on their team this year. Billings back on his feet. George O'Leary said they did put Bortles' name in for an evaluation from the NFL people. George said, I have the results, but I haven't shared them with anybody yet. We're going to get through the game, and then Blake and I will talk. He said, whatever he decides, I'll be happy for him. He said, I'll be more happy if he decides to come back.
Yeah. I think he should. Now, I'm the Art Briles rule, what he told RG3. If you're a top 10, go. If you're not a top 10, come back and develop and grow.
There seems to be some debate, though, as we mentioned earlier, what Bortles is in the minds of the NFL people. He had to get rid of it quickly because of the blitz up the middle, and Jeff Godfrey couldn't catch it. Well, Todd McShay loves him. He has him as the number 3 player in the entire draft, behind only Teddy Bridgewater and Jake Matthews, the tackle from Texas A&M. And in his mock draft, Todd has him projected to go to the Jacksonville Jags.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of debates in draft rooms. And the guy below him, Johnny Manziel, there'll be a lot of debates about Johnny Manziel. Boy, it's almost hard to pass on Johnny Manziel after what he did the other night.
Yeah, he
My goodness.
helped himself. This has been kind of a middling performance by Bortles so far. 2nd and 10, all day to throw, takes the check down. Again, this field is causing problems. Players trying to stop and plant, and their feet just go out from under them.
Also, the pass was behind Perriman. And, you know, that's where I think he can grow, Sean. I really do think he can become a little bit more accurate with the football. He's got all the tools. One more year in this system would certainly help him. Big 3rd down here for the Bear defense and tonight offense. Who's going to convert? Who wants it?
Baylor blitzes again. That time it was picked up, and the throw is behind the receiver Hall. But K.J. Morton's going to get flagged for pass interference. And that's a drive extender for the Knights. It'll be the 8th penalty of the half against the Baylor Bears.
Sometimes in the corner's mind, when you know there's a blitz, they get a little bit panicky, especially if you've been attacked. K.J. Morton's been attacked.
Number 8 defense. The ball replaces the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
And all he has to do is trust his training. He's in pretty darn good position right here. Look at that. Then if he doesn't hold, he's okay because you're allowed to jam him. You don't have to grab. Trust your training and trust that your guys are going to get there, and that ball will come out in a hurry.
It's at least the 3rd replay that we've seen tonight that has shown a Baylor Bear defensive back with a grab of a jersey of a UCF wide receiver. It's going to get called just about every time. J.J. Wharton lunging for the 1st down marker. They rule him down inbounds, and he didn't get to the 1st down, so the clock runs. Sam Hall made the tackle. They are on the fringe of field goal range. Under a minute to go. 1 timeout for the Knights. Rennell Hall. Touchdown, Central Florida. Another great downfield block by Josh Reese. Second long touchdown of the night for Rennell Hall. 50 yards earlier in this quarter. That one 34. And the extra point up and good by Sean Moffitt.
No, I'm of the belief if it works once, come back to it. If you have a matchup that you like, come back to it. Well, they do. They have Hall number 6 on Burt out in space. Take a look what happens. He gets the ball early. It's on target, so he doesn't have to work, and he just beats Burt. Then again, Reese finishing his man downfield, and it's recognition right there by Bortles to Hall, who trusts his ability over Burt's ability. When you get teamwork like that, big plays will happen.
Nice job by Josh Reese. Dimitri Goodson was the defender, trying to get away from number 19. All of a sudden, Bortles has 182 yards passing. And a lot of that was on the run after the catch on the 2 long scores by Rennell Hall. See if Sean Galvin squibs it with 44 seconds to go. He kicks it away. Down to the 3 to Corey Coleman. And he stopped at the 29-yard line by Cedric Thompson. Sean Galvin, the kickoff man from Ireland. George O'Leary told us the story the other day. First time he kicked in the game, they were way ahead at Memphis last year, 41-0. So they sent Galvin in for his first kick in an American game. And they're lined up. He's pointing at guys on the front wall of Memphis and gesturing with his hands and saying, move, move, move. And the coach is saying, what is he doing? So finally he kicked a line drive that hit one of the up men for Memphis. He came to the sideline. The fans were booing because they thought it was an onside kick. George said, what were you doing? He said, the bloke wouldn't move. So I just kicked it right at him.
You're not supposed to tell him that you're going to kick it at him.
I'm not going to move just because you asked him, at least over in this country. Shock Linwood the carry. Short gain. They can score quickly. Tevin Reese yanked down by Terrence Plummer. They have 2 timeouts left, and Art Briles will use one right here with 16 seconds to go in the half. Friday night, 2 explosive offenses collide in the Discover Orange Bowl. Taj Boyd and 12th ranked Clemson take on Braxton Miller and the 7th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. That's Friday night at 8 on ESPN. You and I will be there, Chris, for ESPN Radio. The only other meeting, really an infamous game from the Ohio State standpoint, game 1978 Gator Bowl when Woody Hayes threw the punch at Charlie Bauman and wound up losing his job and ending his legendary career. Ohio State defense this time around with a lot of injuries, and they've already had some problems.
And lost Noah Spence to a suspension, 3-game suspension. Their leading sack man. You know, some people in Columbus still think that Woody was just trying to help Charlie up in an aggressive manner.
Help him up, then rearrange his jaw at the same time. 3rd down and 3 for Baylor. Coleman. Plummer slowed him down. Coleman gets out of bounds. We're down to 9 seconds to go. Brandon Alexander got him across the sideline at the 48-yard line of UCF.
Yeah, that was the same play, and this time Plummer was a tad late. And this Baylor offense relies on hitting the ball to their playmakers in space. And they're starting to get a little bit of that with the quick screen game. Set it up.
Down the middle, they're in field goal range. Levi Norwood. The ball's out at the end of the play, but he's ruled down by contact at the 28-yard line. Doesn't matter if it's contact or not. In college football, you're down, you're down. That's a 21-yard gain. Still 1 second on the clock, and now they'll use the timeout and send the field goal team on.
Sean, this is the same look, right? But this time they faked the screen pass and sent Norwood down the seam. A good job of the safeties, at least forcing Norwood to cut back inside to allow the pursuit to get there. But those guys better start putting that ball secure against the body, because the Knights do a good job of coming in and whacking at it, as you see Gray hustling down there to strip it.
And he was down before the ball came out. And that's what Levi Norwood does for Baylor. Finds the open spaces, and he has had the knack for making big catches. Junior from State College, Pennsylvania. His dad Brian's on the Baylor coaching staff. So here's Jones. 59 career field goals. The Baylor career mark. This is a 45-yarder. Plenty of leg to do this, particularly indoors. That needs to hook. It did not. And it's still an 8-point lead for the 17-point underdog UCF Knights. It'll be Baylor's ball to begin the second half. Down on the field, here's Shannon Spink.
Coach, defensively, you guys were able to create those turnovers, but you've given up some big plays. What corrections do you make in the second half?
You know, we got to come out and score the opening drive second half without question. But, you know, we missed a good scoring opportunity down there when we turned the ball over, had a chance to take the lead, missed a field goal there. So we got to just settle down and play. I mean, it's an 8-point game. There's 30 minutes left. We got to play our ball.
8 penalties. How has that affected a rhythm that you guys might try to create?
It always affects it a little bit. You know, I mean, a couple of interference calls, you know, that are always going to be a little bit, you know, determined by how they see it, but we just got to play cleaner and smoother.
Thanks, Coach.
His team at 316 yards of offense. Central Florida also over 300 yards with 306. Halftime score of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Central Florida leading Baylor 28-20. Stay tuned for John, Mark, and Lou in the Buick halftime report right after these messages. We welcome you back to ESPN's presentation of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. At the half, Central Florida leading Baylor by 8. Both teams with more than 300 yards of offense, and Chris, a big number for Central Florida. The edge in the time of possession by a little over 4 minutes. That's key because we did see late in the half that Central Florida defense get winded against the fast up-tempo pace of the Baylor offense.
Yeah, they're not playing a lot of depth at their back seven, so you're chasing guys all over the field. Remember, we talked about it in the beginning, how Baylor makes you defend the whole field, both horizontally and vertically, and that can wear on the back seven, the secondary guys chasing the ball down.
What do you look for in the second half?
Well, I think for Central Florida, I think you do what you do. You find the matchups that you like, and what worked for them was putting Rennell Hall on number 13, Burt for Baylor, and hoping your athletes beat their athletes in the first half. The case was 2 touchdowns. For Baylor, you just do what you do. You understand you have an explosive offense, stay patient, and stay with your game plan.
Baylor trailing for just the second time this year at the half. The only other time was the one game they lost. They trailed 14-3 at the half against Oklahoma State. They wound up getting hammered in that game. Corey Coleman brings back the Sean Galvin kickoff to the 25. Here's Shannon Spake.
Well, Sean, the motto for this UCF team most of the season has been humble and hungry. George O'Leary told me that the hungry part has got to come from the tackles right now. He says that they need to do it better. You did see him get in his quarterback's face in that first half. Their plan is to move the chains, and sometimes if it's 3rd and short, you just got to go for the first down rather than going for the big play.
And that's what you do, and that's what he normally does. The best part about his game is his decision-making and his understanding of the offense and the weakness of the defense and where to put the football against that weakness.
Bryce Petty, 15 out of 25 in the first half for a touchdown, but a very important interception in the end zone. It looked like they were going in. Blake Seastrunk breaks free. He got chopped down at the 44 by Clayton Geathers, the fine safety for the Knights, who was a veteran, making his 39th straight start. A 19-yard gain. Antoine Goodley. And knocked down by Jacoby Glenn. Didn't look like a big hit, but it was enough to upend Antoine Goodley.
You know, Sean, you talk about what else can Baylor do is get the running game a little bit. That's where they set up the play action pass, and off the play action pass is when they attack vertically down the field.
Baylor has not led in the game, trailed 14-0 as Central Florida scored touchdowns on its first 2 possessions. Blake Seastrunk tackled by Miles Pace, a sophomore from Miami. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
If I was Lake, I'd follow big Cyril Richardson, who was pulling. Instead, he abandoned his pulling guard and tried to cut it back where defenders were waiting for him.
Petty took it away from Seastrunk and fires incomplete. Well behind Tevin Reese.
They're looking at each other. They're not on the same page, and that could be because of the missed games that Tevin Reese suffered with the wrist injury. Petty threw the fade stop, and Reese was on the takeoff.
Spencer Roth on to punt. J.J. Wharton back deep. 4th all-time leading punt returner in school history. Line drive kick and a fair catch made. At the 17, they'll mark it at the 18. Blake Bortles. He was a big factor early. 4 early runs, Chris, that resulted in 50 yards. We really haven't seen much of that zone read game since. And Rennell Hall, 2 long touchdowns.
And right here, you're going to see one of the things that Blake Bortles does well is recognize the blitz and the pressure coming off. So where do you throw to your hot read or sight adjust? You get the matchup that you want, your athlete against their athlete, trusting your athlete will win, and also trusting that your receiver will get a block downfield to spring them into the end zone.
First possession of the second half for UCF. They go back to the quarterback run game that was effective on the first couple of possessions. Rody Trahan and Eddie Lackey took down Bortles. Lake passed for 183 yards in the first half, had an up and down half passing, through 2 touchdowns, but also threw 2 interceptions.
I like the fact that they come back to the zone read. Usually teams will do that to see if the defense is adjusted in any way. That time he made the proper read in keeping the football.
Design roll to the right, and the pass too far in front of Rennell Hall. And the Baylor defense so much improved this year, but a dreadful first half. Most yards, points, and yards after the catch they've allowed in the first half this year.
And the problem has been for the Bear defense, the Knights have hurt them both on the ground and through the air, keeping them off balance.
And that's been the formula all year long. The play calls from Charlie Taft, terrific offensive coordinator. Good mix of the run and pass. Bortles zings one, too hot to handle for Rennell Hall with Dimitri Goodson in coverage.
Well, a better job by the linebackers playing the sticks and not jumping the underneath route. Lackey sitting under, jumps a little bit, but forcing a high throw because he is in the throwing lane, and Bortles misses on the delivery.
3rd 3 and out for the Knights. The Baylor defense averaged 6.5 3 and outs forced per game. That was the most in the country. Caleb Houston, high punt down to Levi Norwood. Well covered, just a 2-yard return. Rennell Hall running down there to cover that punt. Still an 8-point lead for the Knights from Orlando, Florida.
Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
Aerial coverage of tonight's game provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Art Briles and the Baylor Bears with the ball in their possession. Trailing by 8 opening minutes of the 3rd quarter. They're the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. 1st and 10, Baylor, its own 32. Blake Seastrunk held down, tripped up by the 37-yard line.
First solo tackle for this 37-yard line as Blake seems slow getting up, but I like the fact that they're starting off their series with a little run because that will set up their play action, especially on a 2nd and 5 situation. It's a good down to go ahead and take a shot.
Petty throws a slant that's incomplete, intended for Clay Fuller, who couldn't hang on with Brandon Alexander in coverage.
The linebackers are doing a great job, Sean, of reading the high hats of the offensive linemen, and they're getting in the throwing lanes to disrupt those intermediate routes at 10 to 12 yards. Good coaching because you're taking what you've learned onto the field during the game under pressure.
3rd and 4. 4-man rush. Petty throws for a first down to Levi Norwood. Forward progress will be marked. It seems one official, the line judge, now raising his hand to mark it at the 45-yard line. Clayton Geathers and Jacoby Glenn made the tackle. 7-yard gain, first down. Petty, deep ball and a double coverage intended for Clay Fuller. And it's incomplete.
And there it is off the first down. They've run the ball a couple of times. Now they come back with the play action. But the discipline of the Knights back 7 has been outstanding all night. You have 2 guys getting deep as the deepest. And frankly, if that ball had a little bit more air under it, Fuller could have maybe possibly run underneath.
Baylor fans thought he was bumped. Fuller's 26 years old, former minor league baseball player, spent 6 years as an outfielder in the Angels organization. Petty throws. Quick completion to Corey Coleman, redshirt freshman from Richardson, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Knights have done a good job of tackling as soon as the guy catches the ball all night. And that's one of the top priorities for George O'Leary coming in this game, eliminating run after catch yards.
Baylor 7 out of 14 on 3rd down tonight. Bryce Petty, the play fake and the completion. Jay Lee inside the 5. Where are they going to mark it? At the 1. He didn't get in.
Be alert for the quick snap. Just you're going to see the end of it. They had the matchup they wanted. They had a wide receiver on a linebacker underneath. And frankly, when you get that type of look, you'll take it every time. You'll trust your receiver to beat the linebacker all day long.
They're going to review it, see if it was a touchdown.
The ruling on the field was that the runner was down short of the goal line. That play is under further review.
They had a similar play in the first half on a long catch by the tight end Niver. It was marked down to the 1. It looked at that point like that play could have been reviewed to see A, if it was a catch, and B, if it was a touchdown. But they let play continue, and Baylor scored on the next play.
Can't tell where the ball was in relation to the goal line when the knee went down. Maybe from this angle. Left knee down there.
Again, I'm not sure it's conclusive. My opinion would be from that last angle we saw, not this one, that it was a touchdown.
See, the right knee never goes down and the left knee goes. It looks like the right knee went down, which the official.
Right. And the ball's ahead of his left knee, which is on the goal line. Well, this is an SEC officiating crew. We have one of the all-time great referees, now the coordinator of officials for the Southeastern Conference, Steve Shaw. Steve, you guys have had a relatively uneventful night tonight. What do you think about this one?
Well, this is a very tight call. What the replay has got to have indisputable video evidence. We see his knee down, but we never really get a shot down that goal line. And that's what he's got to be able to see, that knee down and the ball in the end zone to overturn this. So they may be getting more views than we've seen. Right now, we're not getting that look right down the goal line. Very tight play.
Rocky Good is the replay official. Longtime on-field referee before he made the transition.
Again, it's the left knee that is down.
These two pictures are matched.
On the field stands, first down, short of the goal line.
Frame by frame, and again, inconclusive. Just couldn't tell. So it's a 50-yard play. Jay Lee. You know, they've done great work, Chris, over the years with receivers who weren't 4 or 5 stars. Now they're starting to get 4 and 5 star recruits at wide receiver, like Jay Lee, who was a 4-star recruit out of Allen, Texas, because of the history of having guys with a zillion catches who go on to the NFL.
Yeah, also having a Heisman Trophy winner in a new stadium will help that recruiting process.
Josh Gordon, Kendall Wright, Terrence Williams, all 3-star recruits or lower. Petty Caves, touchdown. They love that play by the goal line. And now let's see if Art Briles will go for 2 here. It looks like they are. Try to tie the game in the 3rd quarter.
I'm reminded of the great Houston coach Bill Yeoman, who invented the Houston veer. That was the play off of that, the veer option.
And Art Briles played for Bill Yeoman at the University of Houston. They are going to go for 2. If you weren't with us in the first half, they failed to convert on 1 extra point when the holder, Brody Trahan, had trouble handling a snap, took off running and didn't get to the end zone. They're going to try for the 2 here now to tie the game with 10:18 left in the 3rd quarter.
You want to try to find a matchup that you're comfortable with. You have number 31 Mag matched up on Corey Coleman on the slot receiver to the short side up here. Now, that's something that you might want to look at because that's a matchup you like.
Petty faked it on the fly sweep action and goes in again. And his parents, Todd and Dina, love it. And it's a tie game. They've been battling from behind all night long. Fell behind 14-0 in the first quarter. Never did quite get even in the first half, and now they are. Petty scored the touchdown, and he scores the 2-pointer. 28 apiece in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
The 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Allstate. Are you in good hands? Verizon. Holiday savings on the gifts everyone wants. And Coke Zero with real Coke taste and zero compromise. Coke Zero lets you enjoy everything.
Baylor in an unusual position, battling from behind all night long. They fought back from a 14-point deficit, but not this game at 28. And a long way to go here in the Valley of the Sun. Aaron Jones to kick off. Williams stand back, and Ronnell Hall back deep for UCF. Returnable for Standback from the 7. Baylor tied it on a 7-play, 68-yard drive, 50 of those yards on this play.
Well, Sean, we talked about when you play matchup zone, you cannot look back at the quarterback. You have to look at the man and ride with them. And this is a matchup that they love when you have a receiver matched up on the linebacker, number 57, Troy Gray. They'll take that all day long. And usually, in the first half at least, Baylor or the Knights were doing a good job of facing those guys up, not looking back at the quarterback and just playing man. That time they looked back and were burned.
From the 24, 1st and 10. Standback. Leg tackled by Brody Trahan at the 29, a gain of 5.
You have to read the corners of Baylor. If they're playing off, then you go back to that little screen game that was so successful in the first half. If they're playing press, that's when the Knights will take a shot down the field.
George O'Leary, Charlie Taft talking yesterday about pretty simple for Blake Bortles. Read the numbers in the box, determine whether you want to run or pass. The box wasn't very crowded there, so he went to the running play with Standback, who got within a yard of a first down. Lackey and Trahan made the tackle. We talked to Phil Bennett about the remarkable improvement of this defense. Said we have a bunch of key seniors who've been in the system for 3 years, and that has made a huge difference. They were 110th in the country in scoring defense last year. Gave up 37 points per game. This year they're 19th, 21 points per game.
Follow the human safe, number 39, Popolo. He'll take you to the ball.
Here's the fullback, number 39 to the left of Bortles. And they do follow him. Standback has the first down. Slowed by Sam Hall, but not before he moved the chains to the 35-yard line.
Now, Coach O'Leary, things get out of hand. One way to settle your team down is to get physical and start running the football. 3 plays in a row, they put it on the ground.
Bortles swing pass to Standback, shoved out by Brody Trahan at the 42. 7 yards on first down for the Knights.
That's a nice pick play against man-to-man coverage. You're going to bring the wide receiver in to pick off Trahan, who actually did an excellent job of avoiding the pick and making a tackle for an 8-yard gain.
UCF rides an 8-game winning streak into the Fiesta Bowl. That is the 4th longest active winning streak in the country, behind only Florida State, Michigan State, and Auburn. Look out. Standback lost his helmet and lost yardage. Sean Oakman and Jamal Palmer combined for the tackle for a loss.
Well, they did a good job of getting up the field on their slant and angle, Sean. A lot of times they're very flat when they slant and angle. That time they were able to get the penetration to get the TFL, tackle for loss.
Standback lost the helmet, has to come out, and making sure that won't happen again. 3rd down and 5, 8 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. The school record Single season tackles for loss 97. That's 40 more than last year. Incomplete pass and a flag thrown. Intended for Jeff Godfrey.
Like Ahmad Dixon was there a little bit early.
Pass interference, number 6, defense. That ball will be placed in the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
See number 6 right here, Ahmad Dixon playing man-to-man. You have to understand what the first down marker is. He does a good job of not giving up ground, but again, you don't have to be there and push him. You're in position to make the play. Just trust it.
9th penalty, 3 of them pass interference. He was arguing. I don't know what he was arguing about. That was pretty blatant by the All-American safety. Blake Bortles slipped a bit but stayed on his feet. Has a man open. Jeff Godfrey dragged Terrell Burt for a while down to the 16-yard line. It was almost a loss on this slippery field, but Bortles stayed upright, and it's a 38-yard play.
This is off the screen, and it's all set up by protection because this is a long time to run this route. There's Godfrey on a fake screen. They clear out the middle and allow Godfrey to go down the sidelines, and Blake Bortles is able to get him the football, but protection and patience by Bortles and Godfrey to run it down the field after they clear out the corner and the safety.
Will they follow Kevin Miller out of this formation, number 85? Yes, Bortles did. 1-yard gain. Eddie Lackey made the tackle.
Eddie Lackey's a smart guy. Eddie Lackey knows that when 85 or 39 are in the ball game, that's where he goes, because they also have a bootleg to number 85 off of that look.
And these two teams are so well coached.
Yes,
you
sir.
have a month to get ready for the game, and when we talked with both coaching staffs the last few days, they talked about the tendencies of the other teams that they had picked up.
We watch our film to get our own little nuggets for everybody. They do a good job, though. Very well coached.
Baylor brings a blitz. The catch made by Godfrey short of the first down by about 4 yards, just less than 4 yards. Terrell Burt drove him back.
Better job by Terrell of making an open field tackle. Remember, he was victimized, missed 2 tackles in space that cost a touchdown against the Bears in the first half.
Huge play call here. We'll see what Charlie Tapp has in mind. Design rollout for Bortles. Corner of the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Rashad Perriman.
It's all based on timing, Sean. Perriman's going to come out and they're going to run the corner route, understanding that Bortles is coming with him, and he's just going to throw to the back pylon. And it's very easy to run that route if there's no contact at the line of scrimmage to disrupt the route. That's what you need to do in that red zone. You have to get hands on receivers, or it's too easy. It's pitch and catch.
Well, Bortles and the Knights not rattled after Baylor tied the game for the first time tonight. The Sean Moffitt extra point puts the lead back to 7 for UCF. 10-yard touchdown pass, finishing a 76-yard drive over 9 plays. An impressive response by the Central Florida Knights. UCF drives down the field to take the lead once again after Baylor had tied it. And Phil Bennett a little frustrated with Terrell Burt.
Well, Terrell's had a tough night, and I think, what you're telling him is understand if you have 2 receivers, I think that's what the number 2 means, or you have to understand when they roll out, they're going to high-low you, one on the goal line and one on the flag route. And one thing you can do to help yourself is try to get some type of contact with those guys coming off the ball, Sean.
Sean Galvin kicks off again. From the goal line, Levi Norwood. Excellent coverage, but Stanback couldn't make the tackle. And Norwood managed to get across the 20. Brennan Straubel made the stop. Tomorrow night, two of college football's most storied programs go head-to-head in the All-State Sugar Bowl. 11th ranked Oklahoma taking on the two-time defending national champs, Alabama Crimson Tide. What'll be the last game of an outstanding career by A.J. McCarron. 36-3. School leader in passing yardage, passing touchdowns, runner-up for the Heisman Trophy this year to Jameis Winston.
I think he has a career as an NFL player, and you have Oklahoma rolling into that game after a big win against Oklahoma State in Bedlam.
Well, they didn't look like they had much of a shot of being a BCS team until that win on the final day of the regular season. That was also a big blessing for Baylor. Petty had trouble with the snap. Now he just flips the ball out of bounds. There's a flag down to the line of scrimmage.
Snap infraction, number 54, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Stephon Huber, the center.
Looks like he took off a little bit, and sometimes when you raise that rear end up as a center, that ball will sail. They coach centers to keep that rear end down, to keep the flight of the ball even back to the quarterback.
10th Baylor penalty. We're going to put time back on the clock because the play didn't count. For Malone dead at the snap.
Seems like a lot of their penalties have been on first down, which puts them behind the stakes and off schedule.
Pump fake by Bryce Petty. Short throw. Terrence Plummer right there to swing Coleman around. Give Corey Coleman credit for great effort. Managed to get across the 25 to the 26.
If you're play for Baylor and you're inside receiver, you have to have courage, and all these kids have shown great courage because you know you're going to take shots from linebackers and pursuing defensive linemen.
Petty 20 out of 33 for 253 yards passing. Clay Fuller. And Nifty stepping through the middle of the field to get out to the 41.
Sean, you mentioned the footwork and the slippage. Right there, you see the slippage, which allowed the receiver to come through. As Justin McDonald lost his footing, which allowed Fuller to get open and get positive yards. But
Lasco Martin. We mentioned this isn't the first time in a big game in this stadium that the field has seemingly been an issue. Oregon and Auburn in the national championship game. Shannon spoke with the grounds crew. Said it's the same field they use in the NFL game. They didn't replace it. It looks nice, but apparently the grounds crew's explanation was that these players aren't using the appropriate cleats, which seems hard to believe in this day and age where equipment managers bring so many different options. Coleman, nice tackle. Clayton Geathers, second team all conference in the American this year. Junior out of Georgetown, South Carolina.
Sean, you know how offenses try to outnumber defenses and outflank. That time the defense outnumbered the offense by bringing your free safety from 15 yards full speed to make an outstanding open field tackle. See Tyson Summers changing his call down there. He sees Baylor change his call. The signal caller for the Knights changed his.
Four-man rush. Petty lobs it for Fuller. Baylor sideline wants a flag. They're not going to get it. Jordan Ozerite's had the primary coverage.
Yeah, he's been big tonight. Ozerite's number 38. Not biting on any type of double move, staying disciplined and getting in the throwing lane. But I want to give credit to the defensive staff of the Knights and George O'Leary. They changed the call when they saw Baylor change the call, and that's what this is all about.
Tyson Summers will not be the coordinator going forward. They have hired Paul Ferraro, who's worked with George O'Leary previously. He'll be the new defensive coordinator. He's been at the University of Maine the last couple of years. Paul Ferraro has been around many programs, a couple of NFL teams as well. Spencer Roth punts. And it goes into the end zone. "55-yard punt." Clayton Geathers. And the Knights defense holding their own against the high-flying Baylor Bears. "1987 Fiesta Bowl was a classic. Jimmy Johnson at #1 Miami against Joe Paterno in second-ranked Penn State. Miami down by 4 in the fourth quarter. Vinny Testaverde through to the end zone. With 18 seconds left, Pete Giftopoulos, the interception, in Penn State won its second national title in 5 years. Over the last 27 years, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl has hosted 5 national championship games, 2 BCS title games, and they're going to host the 2016 national championship game under the new playoff format.
And a beautiful venue here in Glendale.
Storm Johnson ahead for 3 on first down. Knights ball and a 7-point lead. The 17-point underdogs from UCF have not trailed in the game. Storm Johnson again for about 2 more. Andrew Billings made the tackle. That was one of those times, Chris, I was surprised they didn't go to a pass because that box was crowded along that defensive front for Baylor.
Well, I think coaches feel and trust your offensive lineman, and I guarantee you the offensive line, let's run the ball, coach. And the one good thing for it, if you're a Knight fan, is that it does eat up as much clock as you possibly can. And anything you can do to keep that explosive offense off the field is a benefit to your football team. But I agree with you, Sean. Anytime you're 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, go ahead and put the ball in the air. Play to win.
Now a timeout has been called. The Knights use the timeout with an important 3rd down and 4 upcoming here. On January 6th, you can watch the national championship game, #1 Florida State, #2 Auburn, in 8 different ways with BCS Megacast. Starting at 8 p.m., ESPN will cover the Vizio National Championship from every angle on nearly every network in the company. Traditional broadcast coverage will be right here on ESPN. ESPN2 is going to host BCS Title Talk with analysis and celebrity guests. On ESPN News, it's the BCS Film Room, and for all the sideline sounds of the game, go to ESPN Classic. Sounds like a good night for the remote. For all the ways to watch, visit ESPN.com/megacast. You're going to be part of that film room on ESPN News.
I heard that's going to be the best part of that mega broadcast. We'll see. With Charlie Strong, head coach from Louisville, will be there, and I'm excited to pick his brain. A lot of coaches, players, talking football.
3rd and 4. The 4 out of 8 on 3rd down. Bortles has a man open. First down. Jeff Godfrey the catch. Art Briles thought he was juggling it. The officials right there say no.
This is part of the best part of his game, Sean. A lot of his big plays come from throwing on the run, and he has an uncanny knack. Let's see if he's juggling the football, of throwing the ball on target. Right there's the catch, and let's see if it's secured.
Yeah, I think it was by the time he crossed the boundary. Under 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Bortles, deep ball into coverage. Sam Hall, flag down. There are 2 flags down. The one at the end of the play as Hall was covering Jeff Godfrey, and there's one back on the other side of the 50-yard line at the 47. There's also an injured Baylor player down back of the line of scrimmage. It's Sean Oakman.
Pass interference, number 25. Defense, 15 yards of the previous spot, automatic first down.
11th Baylor penalty, the 4th pass interference.
Let's take a look at the position that Sam Hall has. Tough duty being a linebacker, covering out on Gottfried. And again, they're in good position, and for the life of me, I don't understand why they grab and hold. They
They've
don't
done it
need
all
to
night
do that.
long. I mean, they're booing the Baylor fans, but it's clear as day. You can't yank the jersey running down the field for several yards. Well, balls, you think you're going to get away with that?
No, and with the shoulder pad hanging out. But the point is, I think guys panic if you just trust yourself, and especially in that play, Sean, because Hall had a safety over the top. He had help. That's got to be frustrating for Coach Bennett and Coach Briles, especially the fact that they're in position. I think that's the most frustrating thing for a coach to see.
Baylor fans can boo all they want, but they're wrong. And that's clearly a penalty. From the 46-yard line. Storm Johnson. Close to another first down. Most importantly, hanging on to the football. He's put one on the ground tonight. He fumbled twice in their narrow escape win against South Florida late in the season.
Good call again by Charlie Taff. And how about the job he's doing tonight? You mentioned how the last run play they had everybody in a box. So what do? You bring in 4 wide receivers, or what they call their 10 personnel, 1 back, 0 tight ends, spread everybody out and hit it up the middle. He's on his game tonight.
Well, he's a terrific coach. He coached at the Citadel for 10 years and had a winning record. That's hard to do. He's the winningest coach in the history of the Citadel. Went up to the CFL, head coach at Montreal with the Alouettes, twice the CFL coach of the year. He's 63, but if somebody's smart, they'd give him one more chance to be a head coach. The guy's been a winner. Brilliant offensive mind. Johnson carries for the first down. We asked him yesterday, would you like to be a head coach again? He said yes, but they're not hiring 63-year-olds in this day and age. We saw Bill Snyder the other night. He was doing a pretty nice coaching job at 74.
Yes, I'm just impressed with the game plan, the balance of the game plan. 154 on the ground, 249 through the air, 403 total yards. It's a pretty good defense.
Just what they wanted, a ball control drive, which they hope will end in points and give them a 2-score lead again. Johnson inside the 40. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. Frustrating night for Bryce Petty. George O'Leary, perhaps 15 minutes away from the biggest win of his coaching career. We welcome you back to ESPN's presentation of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl from Glendale, Arizona. Aerial coverage high above University of Phoenix Stadium, provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Central Florida driving as we head to the fourth quarter.
A big series for Baylor, and you wonder if Central Florida is in 4-down territory early on. This type of field position.
Well, I think if they get to field goal range, they would kick it, but right now they're just beyond it. 2nd and 7. Quarterback draw. And Ahmad Dixon collared him inside the 20. Great job by Bortles to sell that pass fake.
And everything set up off the play. The screen and the offensive lineman, the McRae brothers, both get downfield, get a hat on a hat to clear a hole for Bortles. Excellent point by you. The patience to set that up. A lot of times guys get in a hurry. It doesn't develop. Charlie working his magic again.
Against his good friend Phil Bennett. They overlap briefly on the Dave Wanstead staff at Pittsburgh. They've known each other a long time. 78 yards rushing for Bortles, the season high. William Stanback, the freshman. Stopped by Sam Hall, Andrew Billings. And the time of possession edge, Chris, continues to grow. Nearly 8-minute edge now in time of possession. Just about 8 minutes exactly.
Doing the right thing by taking their time. Huddling up.
George O'Leary, 67 years old. Been to a lot of bowl games at Georgia Tech as a head coach and here at UCF. And so this is the biggest. It's a BCS game. Bortles has another crease. He has a touchdown. What a drive, nearly 5 minutes. 4:48 off the clock to travel the 80 yards. Bortles up to 93 yards rushing. More importantly, it's back to a 14-point lead, matching the largest of the night for the Knights. Folks from Orlando enjoying this 43rd Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. UCF leading Baylor by 2 touchdowns. But a long way to go against a team that scores as quickly as any in the country, really faster than any team in the country, and the highest scoring team in the country, the Baylor Bears. Sean Galvin kicks off. Corey Coleman up the near numbers. And dragged down at the 48-yard line by Clayton Geathers. Terrific return by the freshman Coleman.
Sean, on the surface, this looks like a zone read, but it's not, because you have Kevin Miller, number 85, becoming a lead blocker on the quarterback who will normally read off Sam Hall, number 25. This is a called run. Even though it looks like a zone read, he has no intention of giving the ball to the running back because he has a lead blocker. Again, a well-designed play. Blake Bortles following, once again, the lead block of Kevin Miller.
15-yard touchdown run. He had a 22-yard run to set it up. Terrence Plummer gets ripped down. They thought there was a horse collar on the kickoff return to 42 yards. By Coleman, and now Seastrunk ripped down, and he's slow to get up.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, defense number 41, 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic first down.
Just the 3rd penalty against the Knights, and no question about it.
Sometimes you get caught when you reach out high. You got all face mask. Good call by the officials. Easy call by the officials. Anytime you see that head snap back, you're going to throw the flag.
With the long kickoff return, the run, and then the penalty. Baylor already at the UCF 31. 112 yards rushing now for Seastrunk on just 15 carries. Bryce Petty, blitz coming, nowhere to go. He's smothered. Back outside the 35. They're going to mark it at the 36. Miles Pace, part of that group of Knights who converged on the quarterback.
This is the Kansas State jump pass, which we saw in the Buffalo Wild Wings the other night. Armstead is supposed to be the intended receiver. He gets caught up in traffic, forcing Petty to pull it down to take the sack.
Tyson Summers calling the defenses with help from George O'Leary. He's done a very nice job tonight. They tried to blitz and didn't get there. Here's Fuller across the middle, inside the 10, and wrestled down by Clayton Geathers. At the 9-yard line, it'll be 1st and goal for the Baylor Bears.
Well, if you don't get there, you got to get in the throwing lane. But when you have a clean release like Fuller does, he's quick enough to make you pay on a matchup of a safety.
27-yard play. Up the middle, Glasgow Martin, a touchdown. And in the blink of an eye, Baylor scores to make it a one-score game again.
Well, again, you're going to see the big pulling guard, Cyril Richardson. This time, Glasgow Martin cuts behind it because the Red Sea opens. Because the linebackers, Red Richardson pull, they vacated the area, and Glasgow Martin is able to finish for 6. They can strike in a hurry. Now the Baylor defense needs to rise to the occasion.
Aaron Jones for the extra point to get them within 7. Just a minute and 21 seconds.
False start, number 41, offense, 5-yard penalty. We will still have the try.
Trayvon Armstead. Nine-yard touchdown run by Martin, senior from Round Rock, Texas, playing in his last game at Baylor. He helped them win the outright Big 12 title. Had 102 yards in their win against Texas, the last game of the regular season. All Oklahoma State had to do on that last day was beat Oklahoma at home. And they were assured of a share of the Big 12 title and the BCS bid. They had beaten Baylor and Texas head-to-head. But the Sooners did Baylor a huge favor. They won the title outright, and they're here. It's a one-score game after a 9-yard run by Martin, and a long way to go in the Valley of the Sun.
The 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl is brought to you by Tostitos Chips and Dips. Bring the party. Ford. Go further. Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. And the new Surface. Follow at ESPN CFB for all bowl instant replays.
Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Shannon Spake back at the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. And Chris, you said it. The offense and Bryce Petty did its job. Now he's trying to fire up that defense. They need a stop.
They have to stop the run, because I got a feeling that they're going to be a little bit patient now and try to eat up more clock. Then they'll try a little play action off that to see if they can catch Baylor selling out on the run.
Aaron Jones, good kick. Will not be returned. Time for tonight's Discover Game Changer, brought to you by Discover Card. And it's been a surprising game changer. It's been the running of Blake Bortles. He's rumbled for 93 yards on just 8 carries. The 93 yards is a career high rushing, and the previous career high was in their bowl game last year when he ran for 80 yards and a touchdown in their win against Ball State in the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. He's a good athlete.
He certainly is, and Sean, it's been on mostly called runs, not many yards off of scrambles.
Had rushed for 179 all year prior to tonight. And again, sack yardage comes off the rushing total. Throws it downfield. There's a flag down. It's caught by Rennell Hall. KJ Morton had the coverage. It's going to be a defensive holding call that'll likely be turned down. They'll take the play to the 48, one would think.
Prior to the pass, holding number 8 defense. That's penalties declined. The result of the play is a first down.
And a 23-yard gain.
Again, I think KJ Morton is in pretty decent position. It's not even interference. These guys are just getting a little bit nervous, and they're grabbing jerseys. We did not see the hold there, but it occurred earlier, as he said, prior to the play or prior to the pass.
Under 12 minutes to go. Pass caught by Storm Johnson. It's a loss of a yard. Terrell Burt up to stop the play. Perhaps they're 11.5 minutes away from one of the biggest upsets in a BCS bowl game in the BCS era, which is coming to an end this year. 17-point underdogs, the Knights of UCF. Bortles down the middle and caught in traffic and fighting for a first down. J.J. Wharton.
What a beautiful job of the offensive line. Storm Johnson picking up the blitz, knocking Eddie Lackey off just enough to create a throwing lane. And Blake Bortles, when pressure's on, delivers the strike. Execution under pressure. Starts out with the trusting of your line and backs to pick up the blitz and your receiver to be where you're throwing the football.
5 catches for Wharton. They wouldn't be here without his heroics in their last-minute win at Temple. Storm Johnson. He's going to score. Touchdown. His 3rd rushing touchdown for the night. 124 after a 40-yard touchdown run. And again, great blocking downfield by the wide receiver core of Central Florida. Petty was encouraging his teammates to get a big stop. They did not. He has a lot of work to do in 10:26 to get it done. 3 touchdowns in their last 3 possessions for the Knights. And a season high 49 given up by Phil Bennett's defense, matching the 49 they surrendered in their only loss against Oklahoma State.
We're going to have Eddie Lackey come off the corner. Trahan's got to come over here. Instead, he gets caught up inside, leaving a clear hole. And you see the offensive line of the Knights getting a hat on a hat. When you have Lackey coming from one side, you got to help yourself in dispersion of space, getting over to the A gap of the front side where the ball hit. He jumped outside, creating that open lane. Perriman with the block downfield to spring it. And Storm Johnson, once he gets into the open field, knows how to find the end zone.
Well, after a 4-play, 53-yard Baylor touchdown drive, UCF charges on in just 4 plays to go 75 yards. Pats on the back for that offensive line. The identical twins, Jordan McCray and Justin McCray, the guards, both were first-team all-conference. They have 3 sets of identical twins on their team. The McCrays are both team captains. And they've done a great job blocking in the run game tonight and protecting Blake Bortles. 521 yards of offense for UCF. Sean Galvin's kickoff. Corey Coleman from a yard deep. Out to the 28. Here's Shannon Spake.
Sean, you mentioned the condition of the field out there, how guys are slipping around. Running back for Baylor, Lake Seastrunk, he came off the field and he looked at me and he said, I've never felt it this bad. He said he can't plant his foot. So he made a cleat change in the 3rd quarter. He said he just had to adjust and he wasn't able to do anything with the conditions.
A lot of slipping and sliding again here tonight.
See what type of cleats he has on. They have a grass cleat, and a lot of times those field turf cleats are made of that hard plastic, which could get a little slippery in grass.
Bryce Petty, deep ball in a double coverage and closer to being intercepted than caught. Clayton Geathers and Jacoby Glenn were running with Tevin Reese.
You know, I think if I'm Coach O'Leary here, I'd be careful about blitzing because of the speed of the Baylor receivers. You don't want to leave yourself exposed in the back end. I wouldn't be opposed to playing a little bit of zone and just making good open field tackles.
Seastrunk doesn't slip and slide that time, and he has a first down. Out of bounds just across the 40-yard line. There's a flag down.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 77 was not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, replay, 2nd down.
Well, they've gotten away with being the most penalized team in the country for most of the year. Came in at 11-1, but it's really killing them tonight.
Yeah, he's way back off that ball. Tough call, though. It's a tough call, but they see it that way. It's the right call.
Tough night for Kevin Palmer, the left tackle. Third time he's been flagged. Seastruck yanked down by Terrence Plummer.
A solid night with the leader of the defense. Very intelligent. All the heads are looking over the sidelines, make sure everybody's on the correct call.
Another flag and another false start.
Prior to the snap, false start. The left tackle, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Kevin Palmer once again getting a little antsy. You have to play coverage here. Trust your front four to get pressure, and as the defense, you have to get back to the sticks, make them throw it underneath and rally and make a tackle short of the first down.
12th penalty against Baylor. The Fiesta Bowl record is 18 by Oregon State when they annihilated Notre Dame in 2001. Petty under duress and throws it away. He got dumped by Niles and Pace after he threw it with 9 minutes to go and down by 2 touchdowns. They almost certainly have to punt on 4th and 18.
Well, this has been the key all night. They're able to get pressure with 4, and they do it off of what I call an X game, where the defensive tackle will come outside and the defensive end exchanges positions with him inside and is able to force the incomplete pass from Bryce Petty. But they're doing it with 4, Sean, which allows them 7 in coverage, which has helped them all night.
Spencer Roth to punt. Good kick. No chance for J.J. Wharton to return it. There is a flag down. There are 2 flags down on each end of the line of scrimmage.
Looked to me like Baylor was moving a little bit.
Illegal shift on the offense. That 5-yard penalty will be tacked on to the dead ball spot, first down.
The defense has given up 35 points, but when you play Baylor, that's well below their average. And it's enough to make the interim defensive coordinator very happy. Well done tonight, Tyson Summers.
And it's a big play. They're going to score. Ian Johnson. They rolled the ball to Ian Johnson, and he scored. And the Broncos have won the Fiesta Bowl. Can you believe it? Boise State.
That was hard to believe. The result and particularly the ending. Statue of Liberty play. Boise State beat Oklahoma. The 2007 Fiesta Bowl 43-42.
Was that the marriage proposal?
Yes,
game?
Ian Johnson.
Outstanding.
Who scored on the handoff from Zabransky. Down on the knee and proposed to his girlfriend, member of the cheerleading squad.
Multitasking.
Central Florida now just trying to run down some clock. They scored touchdowns on 5 of their last 6 possessions. Big underdog entering, but perhaps their conference deserves more respect. The American is really what's left of the Big East Conference, and the Big East was much maligned over the years. Many said year after year they don't deserve the automatic bid into the BCS. Well, the record is 8-7 entering tonight. 3 wins over the SEC, and last year Louisville, what was considered a big upset against number 3 Florida. This one would be an even bigger upset.
They have great coaches. Charlie Strong, as we mentioned earlier, at Louisville. George O'Leary.
And as you said earlier tonight, when you have a quarterback, you have a chance.
Yes, sir.
They had Bridgewater did Louisville last year. This team is Blake Bortles, William Stanback, taken down by Brody Trahan.
One thing I would look at is the play clock. I know they don't like to snap it within under 10 seconds. I would run it down all the way to 1. I mean,
They do like to snap it under 10
yeah, that's
seconds.
what I mean. But I would just run it down to 1 or 2 seconds. Now, we'll see if they do that. You've got a smart quarterback that will make a good decision on when the ball should be snapped.
Charlie Taft said we do game the game, usually snap it under 10 because of all the work that Bortles does at the line, but they weren't going to make a big effort to take it down all the way every time. Perhaps now they will. Late in the game, Bortles got free and found stand back for a first down. An enormous conversion more than midway through the fourth quarter now.
Well, 6'5", 235 pounds will do this for you when you can run through defensive linemen. And again, as a pass cover downfield, if you're in man coverage, you cannot leave your coverage because Blake Bortles keeps his eyes downfield. An easy dump pass to stand back for the first down.
Shed Byron Bonds, who's 275 pounds. Bortles was the MVP of their bowl win last year in St. Petersburg in the Beef O'Brady over Ball State. Making a case to be the MVP tonight. Stand back. Lost the ball as he hit the ground. Might have been down. K.J. Morton pulled it out. And it was recovered by Justin Tukes, the tight end. So it doesn't really matter if it was a fumble or not.
Well, just an outstanding effort. One by Morton to knock the ball out, but Tukes,
that was a fumble.
Trailing the play, hustling downfield to save the day for the Knights offense. Good job by Morton coming in, understanding his team needs a turnover and raking at that football, but Tukes with the Johnny Hustle play.
12-yard gain. 554 yards of offense. 6:20 to go. Stand back, stood up. Friday night, it could be a shootout in the Discover Orange Bowl. 12th ranked Clemson taking on 7th ranked Ohio State in the Discover Orange Bowl. Friday night at 8 on ESPN. Two dual threat quarterbacks in that ball game, Taj Boyd and Braxton Miller.
Yeah, at least 2 new starters in the Buckeyes secondary. Tough challenge, especially with Sammy Watkins, the speedster.
That Buckeye defense gave up 603 yards in their last game against the Michigan team that has really scuffled on offense in the second half of the year. Sam Hall playing in his last game.
Gave up over 300 plus in the Big Ten championship game to Connor Cook and the Michigan State Spartans. So they're just a little out of sync.
Hall stopped, stand back for no gain, and Central Florida clearly following your advice now, in no hurry. Next time they snap it, the clock will be under 5 minutes to go. Blake Bortles has completed his last 9 passes. Will he throw on 3rd and 10? They're already in field goal range with a chance to make it a 3-score game. You just don't want to make a big mistake. Will they keep it on the ground? And stand back. Gets it inside the 20.
Now the time of possession, Sean, up to 12 minutes. Or just under 12 minutes in favor of Central Florida, something they wanted to happen coming into this game.
Timeout called by Art Briles. He can stop the clock on offense. They didn't want another big chunk of time to roll off. The history of Central Florida football, we mentioned they didn't start playing till 1979. They were Division III team. They moved up to Division II FBS in 1996 after some time at FCS. Dante Culpepper really was the first big player who got them a lot of attention. Finished 6th in the Heisman, was their only first-round draft pick. That is still true. Played in the MAC, played in Conference USA, and then morphed into this American conference in its first year. And the man who's done it, George O'Leary. He was ready for a challenge after the mistakes that he made. Brandon Marshall played early in George's tenures here tonight. He exaggerated his resume. It cost him his job. He said America is a very forgiving nation. He's worked hard to put it behind him. And with every win, it gets further and further behind him. And he's on his way to the biggest win of his career, unless it's a huge collapse in the final 4:44. Moffitt kicks a 36-yard field goal. They held the ball for 4 minutes and 11 seconds and then added 3. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. A big surprise to many. Baylor, 17-point favorite, is trailing by 17. Perhaps we shouldn't be that surprised. The offense did drop off dramatically late in the year, but then again, the caliber of the competition did as well. But after running up 61 points per game in the first 9 games, they averaged 29 the last 3 against Oklahoma State, which was their only loss, TCU, and Texas. And those are good defensive teams. And they're playing another in Central Florida tonight. Corey Coleman weaved his way to the 21. Sean Magg, the tackle. Here's Shannon Spake.
Well, Sean, you mentioned Brandon Marshall. He's still very much in contact with the players on this team. He talked to them before the bowl game. He spoke with them. He said, you know, go out, have fun, enjoy this moment, but realize that you have some work to do. And I also spoke with him before the game. His eyes were wide open. He was just so excited to be down here. He told me that the environment coming into this bowl game, just the atmosphere, is bigger than some of the NFL games he plays in. Just because the fact that when you're in college, you play for each other, you're brothers. He said you go to school together, you live together, you play together, and this was something very, very special for this team.
And the team has done exactly that. They've embraced the moment. The stage wasn't too big for them, and so far, they've answered the challenge.
Jay Lee got the first down, went out of bounds, banged out by Clayton Geathers. 4.5 minutes to go, 2 timeouts for Baylor. Down by 3 scores. 11-yard gain. Bryce Petty, pump fake. Open receiver is Coleman. Jordan Ozerrites made the tackle, and they're quickly out to the 49-yard line. This is the Fiesta Bowl record for combined points. The 87 combined tonight, surpassing the 86 combined by Nebraska and Florida, January 2nd of 1996. Tommy Frazier led Nebraska to the national title. Bryce Petty ran out of bounds. That was a 62-24 Nebraska win, the 25th Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
You know, when you're looking at Central Florida here, you don't want to get aggressive. I know people say, well, start blitzing. Well, that's a way to give up a quick score. Just play sound, play behind you, and make good, solid tackles.
Shock Linwood. It banged around, but made it to the 33. Brandon Alexander and Clayton Geathers combined on the stop. And they're very quickly poised to score. And on the edge of field goal range, that wouldn't do them much good in this instance. 3:40 to go. Petty, far sideline. Linwood didn't get out of bounds. Sean Magg made the tackle. One of only 2 seniors who play on the defense. And what a difference the year makes for him. A year ago, on the day of the Beef O'Brady's game in St. Petersburg, his sister Mandy was killed in a car crash. And 8 hours later, he went out and played. And you can imagine what his emotions were like. They won the game. Jay Lee tackled by Glenn. He spent time consoling his mom, Lisa. They lost his dad about 5 years ago to cancer. He said, I hugged my mom and told her it's just me and her, and I'll be here to take care of her. Finishing his career tonight in what's going to be the biggest win in school history unless lightning strikes. E.J. Dunston, the other senior on the defense, took down Linwood. But it's a first down.
You see right there, if you're looking from the press box as the flag goes down, Magg is limping a little bit. You go and try to attack him with a receiver or his area.
There is no foul on the play. Central Florida called a timeout. That's their second timeout.
Well, with Magg limping and the defense on its heels and a bit winded. Good usage of a timeout again by George O'Leary. There were a lot of articles written this week, Chris, about George O'Leary, his career. He admitted the huge mistake, some embellishments about his academic background, said he got a master's degree that he didn't get. He said he was a better player at the University of New Hampshire than he actually was. It cost him his job. In many ways, it cost his reputation. John Hitt, the president of UCF 10 years ago, gave him a chance, and George has taken advantage of it. And he says every now and then he'll still hear someone yell out of the stands, "O'Leary, you're an old liar," and he just laughs it off. And I loved what he said. America is a forgiving nation. Sure. And when you own up to your mistakes and move on, people are willing to move on with you.
And I agree wholeheartedly, Sean, and I love to see guys that do get a second chance have the success that Coach has had.
Catch made over the middle. Brandon Alexander delivered a big hit to Levi Norwood, who held on. Might have been better for Baylor if he dropped it, because it was a minimal gain and the clock keeps running. 2nd and 5, 2.5 minutes to go. Far sideline, Jay Lee gets the first down. That'll stop the clock for a moment to move the chains. 1st and goal at the 7.
Good job by Central Florida of keeping the ball in front of them and really making good tackles on contact.
And there's a flag down. I don't see where it is, but the officials are conferring.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 77. Offense. The line to gain was made. There'll be a 15-yard penalty, and it'll be 1st and 10.
It's the 4th penalty against Kevin Palmer. The 16th penalty against Baylor. That is 2 shy of the single-team Fiesta Bowl record. 120 yards in penalties, where UCF has been penalized just 3 times for 25 yards.
In crucial times, a lot of penalties on 1st down. There you're going for a good drive in the red zone. Personal foul. Come on.
2 minutes to go. Petty to the end zone, incomplete. There's no question Petty will be back next year. He is a junior, but he said he didn't come to Baylor to be a one-year-and-done quarterback. He waited a very long time. Committed to Tennessee out of high school, but then Philip Fulmer got fired. Lane Kiffin didn't really want him. So Petty wound up at Baylor, but he gray-shirted for a year. That's basically attending classes with no scholarship. You're not on campus. He went to a junior college. The snap was low and surprised him, and he had a fall on it back at the 27. And then he red-shirted, and Art Briles told him, "You're going to wait a couple years. We have a quarterback named Robert Griffin III." He went almost 5 full years between his last start as a high school quarterback and his first start at Baylor. This is his first season starting after 1 year from Nick Florence. Baylor uses its last time out. So he's going to come back. And they hope to be a top 5, top 10 team next year in the preseason, led by Bryce Petty. He said it was so bad when he was at Navarro Junior College. He wasn't even at their main campus. He was at a satellite campus of the junior college, surrounded by people who he charitably described as perhaps not as academically motivated as some that you might expect to be around.
Well, I think it's a great lesson, and you sit down and you talk to him about perseverance and hanging in there. And believe me, he went through an emotional roller coaster, ups and downs, but he got his opportunity this year and certainly made the most of it with 2 very proud parents looking on.
Parents, he said, continue to encourage him to hang in there. He's a man of considerable religious faith, and he leaned heavily on that. Well, he'll be a 2-year starter, and they should be a highly ranked team. Neither one of these teams was ranked in the preseason. To the end zone. Flag down. It was intercepted by Mag, but he might be guilty of pass interference on Tevin Reese. That is going to be the call.
And this is a little perplexing to me, is why you're letting somebody get behind you.
Pass interference, defense, number 27, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
In this type of situation, Mag is in pretty good position now. He went there and reached him and turned around and located the ball, but he pushed him before the ball got there, and I think the official meant to say number 31 on
yes,
the pass
he did.
interference.
15-yard penalty, so the ball's on the 12. Sean Magg, another tackle as he wrestled down Lake Seastrunk. Time's running out. Art Briles saying, get up and let's go. And it looks like the fight's gone out of the Baylor Bears. With the reality, less than a minute and a half to go and down by 3 scores. This isn't going to happen for them tonight. Petty. It's caught by Fuller. Touchdown. With Clayton Geathers right there in coverage. Beautiful catch by Clay Fuller.
And not only the catch, but the throw. Geathers had a good jump on the ball, but that ball was placed high and outside, allowing Fuller to go up just out of the outstretched arm of Geathers. That's a big-time throw and a big-time catch.
And a good call by this officiating crew. Had possession, completed the catch, got that foot down right there. Completes a 79-yard drive, 13 plays, 3.5 minutes to do it. And a 9-yard touchdown pass to the 26-year-old junior, Clay Fuller.
The ruling on the field was a completed pass for a touchdown. That play is under further review.
Shouldn't take
Why,
long.
we're not really sure, because it looked to be pretty clear. Steve Shaw, coordinator of officials for the Southeastern Conference, in the booth. Does this look good to you?
Well, clearly his foot's in. You know, the replay wanted to look to make sure he maintained possession all the way. From that angle, we couldn't see the ball. Here, you see his foot in all the way down to the ground. He maintains possession. I hate to always guess for them, but I think this will be confirmed.
And it makes it a 2-score game. And they'll kick the extra point and then try an onside kick with 1:15 to go. We talked about the future for Baylor. A question is about Art Briles and his future.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
We recently agreed to what was reported to be a 10-year, $45 million contract extension to make him one of the highest paid coaches in the country at age 58. And he has said he's very happy at Baylor, but when we asked him about the rumors about the NFL, the University of Texas, he said he was intrigued by the NFL, if for no other reason than to demonstrate that his style of play on offense would work at that level, encouraged by the success of Chip Kelly with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he also said, this is a business.
Yes, sir.
And $4.5 million is nice, but there are other schools and there are NFL teams that might pay you more than an average of $4.5 million per year. He didn't give you the standard, I'm very happy where I am and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, he told it like it's a business, but I think he's very happy at Baylor, and I think it would take an awful lot, Sean, to get him to move. But it's interesting because all coaches.
The extra point is good. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 76, Baylor, that 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Jason Osei guilty of the penalty. Well, they might break that Oregon State record. 17 penalties now, one shy of the Fiesta Bowl record. The Ford BCS postgame show is coming up next, followed immediately by Sports Center. My guess is that Art Briles will be back at Baylor. They have a terrific team coming back. They're moving into a beautiful new stadium on the Brazos River, on campus, unlike Floyd Casey, which is a little bit off campus. $260 million stadium. They're starting to attract a higher caliber of recruit. And you don't hear his name as much in recent days about the Redskins. I think the train of thought there, Chris, is if he goes there, he's RG3's coach. There's already a school of thought from some that RG3 can be a little bit of a divisive force on that Redskins team. Do you really want to go hire, quote unquote, his coach?
No, I don't think you want to do that, and I'm not sure you want to gamble on that type of offense in the NFL, although Chip Kelly's made it work. But Chip Kelly's also made adjustments to that offense where he has slowed it down a little bit. And the other thing with that offense, I believe Shady McCoy led the NFL in rushing this year, and so it's balanced. Well, here And Baylor, I think it's a little bit more emphasis on the passing game.
I do think Art Briles would be successful wherever he goes. He's been mentioned at Texas as well. Jimbo Fisher agreed to a contract extension, but apparently that does not preclude him from the possibility of another job. Charlie Strong's name's been mentioned prominently.
Penn State, Coach O'Brien taking the Texans job. Wow, a lot of things happening.
Well, Baylor will have the onside kick from the 20 because of the penalty. Aaron Jones. Hands team out for Central Florida, protecting a 10-point lead. And it's fielded by the Knights, and that should put it away. J.J. Wharton, in large part, got them here with one hand when he made perhaps the catch of the year. To me, it was the best catch I saw all year in college football. When it looked like they were going to lose the Temple. They were down by 7. A little over a minute to go. It was on November 16th in Philadelphia. Look at this catch. And even the score at 36. They won it on a field goal as time expired. He had 10 catches in that game for 179 and 3 touchdowns. Charlie Tapp told us he made 2 or 3 other catches in that game that were almost as spectacular and as important. 6 times this year they trailed in the second half and rallied to win. And it's made it a magical season. They're in take a knee mode now, and doesn't look like Art Briles is going to use that last time out. Monday night, 1 versus 2 in the Vizio BCS National Championship game. Talk about a magical season. Number 2 Auburn trying to finish its magical run, raising the crystal ball. Big and upset Florida State and the Heisman winner Jameis Winston. Monday night, January 6th, 8 p.m. on ESPN.
Well, it's all on Florida State's defense, Sean. It got better as the year went on. If they can handle the downhill running game of Auburn, they'll be in pretty good shape.
Bortles takes another knee, and they don't have to snap it again. Relative to the rest of college football, it's a Knights program still in its infancy. Tyson Summers, terrific job as the stand-in defensive coordinator against the Gatorade bath. I think they know that's probably dangerous to try with George O'Leary even after a win like this. America's a forgiving nation. George O'Leary got a second chance, and boy, has he taken advantage of it. Taken a school very few had heard of, and they put it on the map. Not just the football program, but it's a school on the rise. Buildings popping up all over campus. Terrence Plummer told us yesterday UCF stands for under construction forever. But it is a program with some momentum, a school with some momentum, to a large extent because of what the football program has done for its exposure. Here's Shannon Spake.
Blake Bortles, what a game for you guys. 4 touchdowns, one of those rushing, 558 yards of offense. Your name will forever be linked with UCF's first BCS Bowl win. What does that mean to you?
You know, I really just couldn't be more proud to be a part of this team, this university. You know, there's not many people in the country that gave us a shot tonight, and you know, I think we really came out here and really showed the country what UCF's about.
How did your defense affect the tone of this game?
They played awesome. You know, we put them in bad positions twice. You know, I threw a pick deep and Storm fumbled deep, and you know, we were shooting ourselves in the foot. But they came out here against a really good Baylor offense and really played well.
I know you said that this is all about this moment, but you did say that you were going to make your decision about the NFL draft after this game.
Yeah.
How does this game, the performance, affect that decision?
I mean, I can't even begin to think about it. You know, I just want to get this trophy back to Orlando and celebrate with these guys.
Big party in Florida today. Congratulations to UCF.
George O'Leary said he and Bortles will get together in the next few days, review the information provided, the draft evaluation by the NFL. And we'll take it from there. He said all week long, it's in the back of my mind that his focus primarily was on this game, and boy, did he deliver. Threw for 301 and rushed for a career-high 93 and a touchdown. Final score of the 2014 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Central Florida 52, Baylor 42. It's the highest combined point total in any BCS bowl game ever. Central Florida Knights are your Tostitos Fiesta Bowl champions. And coming up, stay tuned for the Ford BCS postgame show with the award ceremony and much more right after these messages.